So let's do a little bit before we do lose you in around 8 minutes' time. Cameron Norrie, and again I say this every time because I keep having to remind myself about it. He's the world number 9. He's the 7th seed here at the US Open.
He is, and
30
nobody wants to see his name in the draw next to them in these tough conditions. He's developed that reputation for himself now. Strange match in his first round. Benoit Paire, kind of as we expected, wasn't really there for half the match. He tried as best he could in the middle set, and Cam had to work really hard. I actually asked Cam in the play restaurant afterwards. I said, I've just done commentary on that match. What's it like when your opponent... Is it a good thing when your opponent's kind of half there with their effort levels, or is it a bit annoying? And he said, no, I absolutely love it. If you don't want to try your best, by all means don't. You know, why do I want you to make it harder for me than it needs to be? So he was quite in jest about it, but I know he and Benoit, as so many other players like Benoit in the locker room, so there was certainly no hard feelings, I don't think. But this will be an interesting one. Joao Sousa is he's up and down. He's been ranked much higher. I think he's been ranked 28 in the world. That was 2016. Yeah, what's 6 years ago now? And he's still around top 60, I think, but his form is very up and down. He's made the final in Gstaad, but not really won many matches since. And then he's got through a decent first round here. So I think with, again, you can rely on Cam, can't you? And I don't want to jinx him going into the match, but that's the sort of person and player with the effort levels, with his intensity, with the amount he moves and makes his opponents play on court. And to be honest, the reason why he's got his ranking up so high is he doesn't mess about. He's very clean and tidy with his results.
He's got 42 wins this year. There's only 2 players with more wins than Norrie. So all set for the first set. So we've got David and Naomi for this. I will substitute Naomi either when she's eating or she's on 5 live, and we're just going to move everything around.
Play.
And it's going to be Joao Sousa of Portugal to start this match. He's got his white baseball cap on back to front. He's got his sort of deep red shirt on. He's got his white shorts and he's his forehand down the middle. Very nice looking player in terms of his technique, I always think. So he doesn't have violent power or anything, but he just does everything quite well. But he's gone along with the forehand. Lost both of the matches that these two have played. Norrie beating him in Portugal, actually, last year in straight sets. Love 15 on Sousa's serve. He hits his forehand cross court, comes in, plays a low half volley on the forehand side. Norrie will reach this and go cross court, but he'll put it in the net.
He hasn't even got up to that drop shot there, Norrie. It's exactly what you mean. Right from the start of the match, second point in, you're getting away with absolutely nothing. And the next time Joao's going to have to hit a drop shot, he's going to know, well, it has to, if I want it to be clean, it has to be even better than that previous one.
Yeah,
cumulative pressure.
He keeps on coming at you, and he's just the ultimate professional, really, Norrie. Moves to his left, hits his forehand, whips it cross court, puts it in the net.
30-15.
He will talk about wanting to make rallies physical. And how mean is that? And how confident in your own fitness must you be? I want to make this physical. As he hits his forehand return down the centre. They've played twice before.
40-15.
All 4 sets have gone the way of Norrie. Norrie's been a top 10 player now since April. Number 9 his highest. 7th seed here as he hits his backhand return down the middle. Forehand netted by Sousa. This is 40-30 now.
40-30.
Sousa is the top Portuguese player in the world. Top Portuguese player they've ever had. Number 28 in the world he got up to in 2016. I remember beating Dan Evans actually at Wimbledon a few years ago, and it was really hard for Evans to take that match. I think
we're all the same age group, if my memory, long-term memory at this point serves me correctly.
You're not including me in that, are you?
Evans, Sousa and myself.
Yeah. Here's a knee-high volley cross court from Sousa with the backhand, and he's held on to his serve. 1 love.
Sousa is 33, Dan Evans is 32.
So he's a year older than us, unless he's just had his birthday already.
I'm definitely not in that age group.
No, I'm not in that age group.
It's funny though in tennis because you feel ancient very quickly because you have these young spring chickens like the likes of Raducanu and Draper coming along and kicking you out the way with their enthusiasm and energy and sprightliness.
Making you feel old.
By the time you're 25, you are old on the tennis tour.
I'm watching a man through the window of our commentary box eating, and I'm just staring and starting to
Come on,
slightly
Norrie, dessert.
salivate.
What's he having?
He's had a whole thing of sushi, and now he's moving on to what looks like his main course, which is sort of a tortilla wrap filled with veggies and chicken.
Well, he's got a lovely view. He's
got a lovely view.
right at the top of Arthur Ashe Stadium, looking down to what Alcaraz.
Yeah, here's a backhand cross court from Norrie. First point of his opening service game. He's 1-love down. Little backhand down the line from Sousa. Then inside out forehand struck by him. Norrie's gone into the ground with his forehand. As you can tell, there's some vociferous support for the Portuguese player here.
No, I don't know if that's coming from his team or if there's just some Portuguese fans in the court, but it's packed full already. No spare seats. I was surprised actually they didn't get a bigger court. I thought it would be very busy out there for this one.
Big serve from Norrie, finds the mark.
15-all.
You have the standing spectators on one side, then you have the stand on the other.
Yeah, it's. I quite like this court. I must say.
30-15.
It's great to see these matches out in the open sort of thing, where people can just sort of wander up and watch a few games of this one, then have a look across the corridor and watch a few games of the next one. But yeah, there is a stand as well, so there's some ever-present atmosphere. Pretty hot out there, I must say. You asked me what the conditions are like. To just sit there in this heat, you better make sure you got your cap and your sunscreen and your water.
But I'm saying it's 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you add on to that being actually on court and the light reflecting off the surface of the court, and you're running around as well, and there's not much of a breeze today.
Tough. Here's a forehand down the line by Norrie. He doesn't mind these conditions though. I don't think he'll wear out as he comes in and watches the ball go long. So it's 40-15 on the Norrie serve against Joao Sousa, who in the previous round faced
40-15.
an American, Mackenzie McDonald, and he actually lost the first set 6-1, did Sousa, but he won the next two, both on tie breaks, and then the fourth set 6-3. So that's a heck of an effort, actually. .59 in the world these days is the 33-year-old from Portugal. And he hits his backhand down the middle, forehand cross court by Norrie. Point for one game all, he's got it.
Game, Norrie.
You always get that little fist bump from Norrie. Keeps
One
it
game all,
quite
first set.
close to his chest, but that just little pump towards his box after
Yes.
most winning points.
Yeah, he's such a good example for other players, Cameron Norrie. And I mean, what a player for people like Leon Smith to be able to point to when juniors are coming up. Be like him, you know. And I mean, I think Jack Draper is naturally a very sensible young man, from what I can see anyway. He just seems to have a really good head on his shoulders. He just seems to have the perfect combination of confidence in his game, but humility off the court. But if he's looking at a guy like this, and obviously Andy Murray's an enormous inspiration for all of these players, but Norrie, I would imagine, he's probably quite relatable for someone like Draper. Left-hander, you know,
15-all.
hasn't won a Grand Slam yet, often didn't get talked about as a player who could do what he's doing even now, been in the second and third round of Grand Slams. I don't think we were talking about him being able to do that 4 years ago.
Absolutely not.
And now here he is in the top 10 in the world. It's absolutely amazing what he's achieved as he hits his forehand cross court, loops it down inside the baseline. Long goes Sousa, and 15-30 on Sousa's serve.
Cam Norrie with the thick sunblock either side of the nose and across his cheekbones. Like war paint.
It is like war paint, yes. Serve down the centre by Sousa. Norrie's trying to set up a break point here with a two-handed backhand, that paddled backhand that some people are comparing to Jimmy Connors from back in the day. And wide has gone Sousa. It's 15-40, 2 break points.
Keeps sending himself new goals, Cameron Norrie. He's not satisfied. In the top 10, okay, so where do I go now? What about the world #1 slot? Maybe I can head towards that. He keeps readjusting his goals.
Yeah, I like that. He's such an ambitious guy. As he hits his back and return, Sousa blasts out. There's the break immediately.
Norrie leads 2-1 for a set.
Great start from him. And look, I would say, I don't know what you think, Gigi. I think all of us, most of us, certainly I, are guilty of underestimating Cam Norrie over the years. Time and time again, he does something that I do not expect. And I think, aside from all the obvious things to say about him, about how hard he works now, about how incredibly fit he is and all these sort of things, he's actually a better tennis player than I realised. His game is a nightmare for opponents. That loopy forehand and the flat skidding backhand. He's just a better tennis player than I realised.
Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of people. I remember a few years ago I had a friendly sportsman's bet with a friend of mine, and I said I believe that Cameron Norrie will be top 30, and my friend who works in tennis said not a chance will he ever get there. I was probably as surprised as he was when he did get top 30. Did I ever think he'd get top 10? No. I get a little bit frustrated for him that he doesn't get talked about as much, or doesn't maybe get the courts that he should get. Maybe that's a good thing for him because he can fly a little bit under the radar. But I mean, every part, where is the weakness in the Norrie game?
Time.
And then you add to the fact that he can go and go and go, and he can grind you down. It's absolutely the perfect package.
Yeah. Agreed. And he doesn't doubt himself. He just goes out there and knows what he's all about. And he's going to impose himself. He's going to give you his game. And if you can outlast him, well, you've done something pretty extraordinary. You've really got to outplay him.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not sure that Joao Sousa really has that in his arsenal, to be honest. He's quite similar to Cam Norrie, albeit not left-handed. But he's just up against a better, younger version of himself. Forehand cross-court by Sousa, goes down the centre. He's grinding away. That's what he is, really. He's a really good grinder, is Sousa, as he hits his backhand slice down the line. Norrie next, love 15.
5-2 Carlos Alcaraz against Federico Coria. Alcaraz now stepping up with new balls to serve for the
15.
first set. It's 8 points apiece in the second set tiebreak between Christopher Eubanks and Yannick Sinner. Sinner took the first set comfortably. Elise Cornet, who defeated Emma Raducanu, she's just come out on grandstand to face Katerina Siniakova. Andrei Rublev is just getting his match underway, and we've also got Lorenzo Musetti on court. And Paula Badosa, she took the first set against Petra Martic 7-6. She dropped the second set 6-1, the early stages of the decider.
Fun day today, isn't it? Yeah. Loads going on. Forehand whipped cross court by Norrie. Into the net goes the backhand from Sousa. And I mean, look, obviously the Serena Williams story in general has added to this tournament immensely, but the fact that there's a doubles match opening the night session tonight with Venus and Serena Williams on top of everything else that's going on, it makes it for a really special experience to be here this year.
I believe there might be a little ceremony after the doubles for Venus Williams.
Oh, that's a nice idea. I like that. Forehand miscued from Norrie. He's got the break 2-1, but 15-30.
You don't know about Venus Williams' plans. There has been, I mean, look, she's 42, so we don't know about the plans. Do I think we'll see her at the US Open again next year? No. But has there been any official statement or a winding down of the career? No.
Yeah.
in terms of
I
efficiency.
agree with you. I don't think we'll be seeing her again at the tournament next year either. But as a lovely backhand hit cross court by Norrie to move to 40-30 here. Or is it 30 all? 40-30.
30 all.
30 all. The tendency with Venus Williams has been to try to get out of Serena's way in a way and just let her have the stage, because I think Serena likes the stage a bit more. But I'd be really pleased to see Venus honoured, because she deserves it. It's 25 years since she reached the final here for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, 25 years. 1997 played Martina Hingis in the final, and that was her first ever Grand Slam tournament. Extraordinary to think. Forehand punched into the net on the volley by Norrie. Break that point here.
30-40.
Almost went too quickly, Cameron Norrie, almost charged into the net, couldn't stop himself in time to get the volley away, and he was just too close to the net when he played that volley.
So 30-40, break point chance for Sousa now, and he's got it.
Game Sousa.
Norrie's miscued the backhand. 2 games all. It's quite
2 games all for a
quite
set.
interesting, this, isn't it? Because Norrie is up against a player who plays a bit like him, and Norrie is the massive favourite.
Massive.
I think that's the one type of match that sometimes he doesn't necessarily handle as well as the others. In a Grand Slam or in a big,
Yeah.
there are sometimes matches that where you expect him to win comfortably or at all, and maybe it doesn't go as according to plan as he hopes. We'll see. Here's a backhand cross court from him, grinding into the next rally. Here's a backhand cross court from Sousa. Miscued forehand again from Norrie.
15 up.
Naomi's settling back into her chair. She's about a third of the way through her $18 drink. It's not alcoholic, folks.
I'm not sure it looks that appealing.
It looks
looking at it.
pretty gross, really. But apparently it's massively good for you, which, as we know, I'm into these days. Here's a backhand long by Sousa.
15 all.
I'm going to bring you on up, David. I'm
Fine.
going to spend my hard-earned money. Hopefully Asia will have some left and I can just use her accreditation money. But I'll bring you on up, so
Okay.
and you can have a try. But yeah.
Looks like it could drop years off me, that. There's a massive serve down the
30-15.
centre by Sousa that doesn't come back. 2 games all, 30-15.
Did I see whilst I was gone there's been a break a piece?
There has, yes. Yeah. And Norrie broke for 2-1, and to be honest, he kind of looked at it and thought, oh, he might just roll through this, and he still might. But Sousa's just making him play a lot of balls, and Norrie is miscuing a few, to be honest, as he steps into this backhand. He's overdone that, and it's 40-15. And I think that what I was just saying to Shishi is
40-15.
once in a while, Norrie puts in a performance that's not that great against somebody he's going to have to make all the play against.
Yeah, I think that's the difference, isn't it? He, as we saw on that last backhand, was sort of invited to step up the court, and it's not always the way that Norrie naturally approaches a tennis match. He likes to absorb his opponent's pace.
Yeah.
Sousa leads 3 games to 2 for set.
Well, it was a great start for Norrie, but it's turned around a bit here. So 3-2 to his opponent. And the players sit down under an umbrella held by a ball kid, and they really are required at the moment. I mean, it is hot out there. You played this tournament. I always remember that run you had in 2016. You think you qualified, and then you beat Laura, and then you played Agnieszka Radwanska in an amazing match. What was it like trying to play in these conditions? Because I mean, I'm popping out of the air conditioning for 10 minutes and I've had enough.
I will say it's weirdly more uncomfortable when you're not in your sports clothes. I think when you're in your sports clothes, you don't really mind the sweat. For us, if we get hot enough and we start sweating, we think, I'm going to go inside. But obviously in your sports clothes, that's sort of the aim of the game. You want to be warm, you want to be sweating. So you sort of just allow yourself to be drenched in this liquid. But I mean, it is so tough. The aim of the game, I think, is preparation. I remember speaking to Jez Green, actually. He was my fitness coach when I was 13 to 16. Then he went on to coach Andy, he's coached Zverev, he's worked with Team. And I asked him, what do you do with Andy to help stop the cramps? Which is funny because that issue has now resurfaced again. But he was just saying how it's so important for them to be hydrated when they go to bed in the evening, even if that means several toilet breaks during the night, and start hydrating the second they open their eyes in the morning, because once you step onto court, there's no catching back up. Your body's constantly going to be getting rid of water to try and cool itself down, and you just simply can't get enough back on board in the changeover times. So it's all about preparation, getting as hydrated as you can when you walk onto the court, and then trying to keep on top of it as best you can during the match. And not only with water, you need the electrolytes, you especially need the salts. And otherwise, just trying to keep your core temperature down, so not spending too much time outside other than you warm up in the morning, just trying to stay cool. The physios are actually recommending ice baths before the matches at the moment. That's how warm it's been.
Cool. I've never had an ice bath before, and
they're not pleasant.
I really don't want one ever. Here's a forehand drive by Sousa down the centre of the court. It's 15 love on his serve. Backhand's pulled cross court and wide by Norrie again, and he's just making quite a few unforced errors at the moment, and I'm sure it's because he's got an opponent who's just rolling the ball down the centre of the court, hitting good, sturdy, but not particularly exciting shots, and saying to Norrie, come on, do something.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we speak so often in tennis, especially, I don't know why, with other sports, you can say they won a game by being so good defensively, or, it's like a tactic. But in tennis, we always just assume you have to go out there and be aggressive. But clearly, Joao Sousa right now isn't playing that way. He's gone out there, as you say, intelligently, just kind of putting the ball down the centre for Cam, not giving him too much angle, not giving him pace to play with.
30-15 though, Norrie serves out wide but misses the sideline. Backhand driven down the line by Sousa, who's 30-15 down now, 40-15 down after he's shanked that backhand. Carlos Alcaraz has the first set 6-2, and he's got a break in the second set against Federico Coria, who's kind of like Alcaraz but with about a third of the power. Yannick Sinner's 2 sets up on Christopher Eubanks as
game, Norrie.
The backhand's gone down the line into the tram line, so 3 games all here. Norrie holding. Oh, Elise Cornet's back.
3 games all.
Playing against Katerina Siniakova. They've just started. We'll keep an eye on all these matches for you. Paula Badosa, goodness me, she looks like she could be going out. 4th seed in the women's draw, won the first set on a tie-break against Petra Martic, which is a tough second round draw. Martic, when she's on form, is a really good player, and Martic has won the next set 6-1. She's 4-1 up in the third as well, so Paula Badosa of Spain could be going out. We'll see. Here's a forehand down the line from Sousa. You can hear how hard he's working. Norrie in kind, hitting his forehand, heaving it over the net with topspin, loop, bouncing it up high at Sousa, and it just keeps on coming back. And Sousa gets lucky. Backhand slice, thuds into the tape, hangs on the top of the net, and then says, oh, right, I'll go over then.
It took me a second to realise which side of the net the ball had even rolled onto. As you say, completely dead net cord there.
left.
3 games all, 30 love Sousa, forehand driven cross court by him. You hear him, don't you, when he hits the shot, and then you look at the shot he's hit and it doesn't appear to do an awful lot. It loops over the court.
40 love.
He's a ball machine of a player, but it's Norrie who's miscued his backhand on the line.
It's interesting with individual sport, isn't it? Just game matchups. You can have a player come out and have a fantastic win over someone ranked far higher, but really struggle. Sort of as the joke we were making with Dan Evans at the start of the tournament. You know, if he was to draw Nishioka, you know, he beat so many players ranked so much higher, but for some reason just that one player seems to be his Achilles heel.
Yes, 5 matches played against Yoshihito Nishioka.
40-15.
5 matches lost. But some of them have been very close and he's nearly got the job done, but I think he'd rather not play Nishioka ever again. I wonder whether there's a bit of him that wants to keep playing him until he gets the win, just to put it behind him. Backhand paddle cross court by Norrie. Forehand went down the line this time by Sousa. That's his best shot of the match so far.
Ball please. Sousa leads 4-3, first set.
So, close. Maybe closer than I anticipated based on the way the first 3 games of the match went.
And I suppose out there, and we know how Joao Sousa's going to approach the match, as we keep saying, he's not really giving Cam much to play around with, which is what Cam wants to do. But I guess now the tactical side of tennis is, what's Cam going to do to counteract that? Is he going to continue to try to be the one that's being aggressive and accept that he might have to play a few more unforced errors today, as we're seeing him do? Or is he going to try and reel it in and almost just have some kind of mundane, boring looking rallies almost down the middle of the court and say, I'll play you at your own game?
Yeah. Yeah, that is difficult. Well, and what do you think his best bet is, really, to win this match, Norrie?
I think he's good enough to step up on the front foot. I think for Cam, he's happy to sit back and out rally people as and when he needs to, but I think he's certainly good enough to step up and be aggressive. And I think at the start of a Grand Slam, when you want to conserve energy and freeze tennis going forwards, I think that would be the way that he and his team would probably want him to approach it.
While he's out there on the baseline once more is Norrie, 3-4 down. Dancing around on his toes. I mean, it's hot and sunny. He doesn't look in the slightest bothered by it.
Still not as bad as it was Monday, Tuesday, though.
No. Doesn't even wear a cap, Norrie. Just says...
He's got his zinc on today, though.
15.
Yeah.
It was like the cricketer's thick white stripe across under his eyes over the bridge of his nose.
Love 15. Greg Rosetsky has come out into the corner of the court with some very bright sunglasses, sort of mirror sunglasses that are reflecting the sunshine coming down. 1997 champion, or finalist rather, 25 years ago, Greg Rosetsky in the corner of the court, watching Cameron Norrie hit a backhand winner to get a 15-all. There's now a floodlight shadow plonked in the middle of the court, right near Cameron Norrie's feet. So down the centre by Norrie once more, and then he drives the backhand, he'll whip the forehand. It's 15-all, it's 3-4 down is Norrie, as Sousa miscues his forehand.
30-15.
Norrie dressed in a fluorescent yellow shirt with light blue shorts.
I'm wondering if it's a little bit blustery out there, because we've seen a few aborted ball tosses from Norrie.
And it wasn't the greatest contact in the world on the serve just there. Here's the second now. And again, he's just biding his time before serving long. And that was an unsettled looking serve.
Well, the last 2 points alone, he's had 4 or 5 aborted tosses, which is a lot, really, isn't it? Normally, maybe you only see 1 a game.
.30 can't get the serve in at the moment. Forehand return down the middle from Sousa, and there's a forehand dumped in the net by Norrie.
30-40.
It's an odd miss, isn't it? Straight down the middle of the court from Sousa, actually almost hitting the centre service line and the service line itself, sort of right in the middle of the court, and Cam just being a bit jammed up, I think.
(3-4), 30-40. Norrie serving. Far into the court, winding up into the serve, puts it down onto the backhand, and that's not a great return, but it's a deep serve. Yes. That's the key to it.
It was a deep serve. I actually thought it was going to go long. I was almost half waiting for the call to come. Thankfully for British fans, it didn't. Brave, aggressive serve under pressure there. Break point down.
Here's Norrie with a mid-court forehand on the line. Advantage this for 4 games all. Elisa Cornet 2-1 up
Advantage
in the opening
Norrie.
serve on serve against Katerina Siniakova. Lovely swinging lefty serve from Norrie, puts a topspin forehand behind it. 2 good points played right there.
First set.
Used the serve to set himself up and then really put the hammer down with the forehand.
I was going to say, I don't think Joao liked that backhand there, because it was the Cam Norrie forehand cross court, which being a lefty means it's headed on to the backhand side of Sousa, but it kicked up high. He's surely used to that because he loves the clay. It's where we see his best results, but definitely didn't connect well with that final shot.
Forehand blocked return down the middle by Norrie, who hits his backhand cross court and whips a forehand at the knees of Sousa, who comes in, but he's volleyed long.
Love 15.
Serve out wide from the man coming in, Sousa, with a knee-high volley. Very neatly played. He's a sort of neat and tidy tennis player, isn't he? There's no great power there, but he just keeps on winging away and coming in and knocking off the odd volley.
It's a lovely volley, because the first volley of the game he didn't have soft hands on it at all. He missed by quite a way long, but that one was really nice. On the angle drop cross court.
Backhand blocked return down the line by Norrie. Forehand whipped cross court. 4 games all, 15 all. Shanked forehand from Sousa. And now Norrie's got a little opening here. I think he's sort of
15-30.
steeled himself in the last couple of games after a ragged little spell.
Needs to try and up that first serve percentage, or keep it up, I should say. Sousa wins massive amounts of points when he gets it in.
Forehand return is a deep one from Norrie. He's starting to find his range here. Backhand cross court from him. Comes back from Sousa. He's so quick, Sousa, but he can't get his racket around this one. It's 2 break points. All right, Sousa, calm
15,
down.
14.
Furious with that one. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was a bad bounce or if it was just the Cam Norrie backhand, which we know is so flat, but it just skidded. In fact, it almost rolled after it bounced. He was trying to move around and get his forehand, but he'd have been better off staying and hitting the backhand.
You would think there's a problem with the balls, the way they don't bounce after a Cam Norrie backhand, but there is a lovely forehand down the line. I mean, goodness me, he didn't give himself much
40.
margin for error there. So it just caught the line. Still break point. Forehand return, whipped with some loft and topspin by Norrie. Then a drive forehand on the line. It's 30-40 Sousa, who hits his forehand cross courts. Norrie's got the break point here. Backhand on the line from him. He will break. Sousa goes along with the
Norrie
forehand.
leads 5 games to 4 for a set.
So many people in the crowd stood up there on their feet. Clearly lots of British fans out there supporting Cam Norrie right now.
So, Norrie getting the job done. It's been a bit of a scrappy set, in all honesty, but, you know, part of the battle is winning the games no matter what. Let's have a little look around and see what we've got in terms of matches going on at the moment.
We've actually got some British women on court right now. Alicia Barnett and Olivia Nichols, they're in the doubles. They got in this morning as alternates because Annette Kontaveit pulled out of the doubles this morning. So after her loss to Serena, I don't know if something was hurting or if she just had a tough day at the office and wanted to go home, but they're currently on court against Alexa Garaci and Andrea Klapach, who are the 13th seed, so they've just got underway. But brilliant for them because they've had a fantastic year. Currently top British doubles pairing, top ranked pairing, and individuals ranked in the doubles as well, so they've had a great year. So nice for them to be playing another Grand Slam.
Time.
Absolutely. Elsewhere, we've got Carlos Alcaraz now 6-2, 4-love up on Federico Coria. Yannick Sinner's 2 sets and 4-1 up over Christopher Eubanks. There was a 10-8 tiebreak involved in that. 3-1 up is Elise Cornet against Katerina Siniakova. 3-2 for Andrei Rublev over Kwon Soon Woo. Paula Badosa is 2 points away from defeat now. Keep an eye on that. Forehand crashed down the centre by Sousa, and long goes Norrie on the forehand.
Love hitting.
Serve out wide, Norrie. Love 15, 5-4 up with a breaker serve. 5 sports extra here from the BBC on BBC Sounds. Norrie's missing again, backhand long, trying to force the play, but not so well.
Love 30.
Yeah, they're strange unforced errors coming off the racket of Cam, and they're not particularly consistent either. The first one off the backhand, next one from the forehand.
Ace.
Sousa's convinced it's out. He's walking. If you see the replay on close call, I'm not surprised because I don't even think you'd call that a hair length of ball that's touching the line. It was, the entire ball mark was long, other than a 0.1 millimetre.
Backhand paddle down the line by Norrie, then a whipped forehand cross court that bounces up high, and now Sousa will hit this one down the centre with a two-handed backhand. He'll blast that shot again. Norrie's equal to it. He's at 15-30 down, 5-4 up, 7 for the opening set here, trying to join Dan Evans and Andy Murray and Jack Draper in round 3. Long goes the forehand from Sousa.
30 all.
I mean, Norrie's been out there now for about 35-40 minutes. He's been crashing forwards and backhands, running about. He has not got one bead of sweat on him, has he? His hair is bone dry.
Got good hair, Joe.
Serves down the centre. Backhand cross court. 30 all. Trying to set up set point, Norrie here. Forehand on the line by Sousa is long.
That tension for Sousa is bubbling over now. He's kind of threatening to smash his racket on the hard court. Really not happy with letting this game go. Cam being love 30 down. Now suddenly set point.
Set point, Norrie. Serves out wide. Long. Second serve. Followed up with a forehand winner down the line. Norrie says, OK, let's impose myself, shall we? And that's exactly what he does. Big forehand, whipped, clean winner, 6-4. Job done for the first set. What did you think of the set, Naomi?
I think that was a good set of tennis from Cam, not in terms of his level, because I think it was good. I don't think it was brilliant. I don't think it's the best tennis that we've seen Cam play, but he's still come away with a set 6-4 in the bag, and it's why I sort of said before the start of the match, not wanting to jinx him, but he's kind of become that reliable sort of player, hasn't he? He's tidy with his results. It's why his ranking is as high as it is, because if he's got a chance to win a match, he's likely going to do it. He just finds a way to get the job done. He puts the ball in play more times than his opponent. I'm just seeing here the unforced error to win account for both players wasn't great. Sousa hitting 18 unforced errors to 6 winners, and Cam hitting 15 unforced errors to just 4 winners. So both of them will probably want that ratio to improve somewhat in the next few sets of tennis. But again, it most importantly, when you sit down at the changeover, it's Cam that's out on top.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to get the job done, and Norrie will hope. I mean, look, he should win this match. He could win it. He could try and grind Joao Sousa down all day. He could play for 3 hours and really sort of long rallies and probably win. But I think he'd like to win in a different way. He'd like to win by taking the initiative, wouldn't he now?
That's sort of the question we asked, wasn't it? What was he going to do to counteract the way that Sousa's approaching this match? Would he want to kind of sit back and match that game style of not really giving much to your opponent and almost trying to put them in an uncomfortable position? Or would he continue to try and step up and accept, yes, I'm going to hit more unforced errors, but that's the right way to play? And so far, he's continued on being aggressive.
Second set, Sousa to serve.
Hello, Russell Fuller. How are we doing?
Hello, David. Hello, Naomi. Very well indeed.
Hello. Russell, have you ever had an acai bowl?
Yes, at Indian Wells.
Acai.
That's what I only have them once a year, but they do a nice little.
David hasn't had one, so
bowl.
I said I'd bring one up this week.
If I keep saying I've never had things, I'll keep
Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen.
That's from the players area, I assume.
It is, and I had Asia bring it up for me on her accreditation because they're very expensive. It's about $18.
Yeah, they wouldn't let one of those in the media area. Nobody could afford it.
I had a toasted cheese sandwich for $15 yesterday.
We were saying with the exchange rate, it's kind of killing us a bit, isn't it?
Bit of a shock to the system. Not even any tomato in it, just cheese. Lots of cheese, obviously, because we're in the United States. And I must say it went down quite well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like the best kind of cheese
There
toasted.
really wasn't very much to it. Good start then by Cameron Norrie. Didn't play his best, did he, as you were saying, but he got the job done, and it would be great, I think, if he really stamps his authority on this match now. Joao Sousa did win a title on the hard courts in Pune in the week after the Australian Open at the start of February, but he'd actually not won a hard court match since before coming here to the US Open. First point of this second set has gone to Norrie. He's missing here with the forehand, and it's 15 all. Sousa's had a fine career. He's done wonders for Portuguese tennis. Career high of number 28 in the world, currently at number 59. Portuguese number 1. 15 all. Here's Norrie wearing a bright yellow top and green shorts, his forehand. Forehand from Sousa. Norrie with the forehand push down the line. Into the net goes Sousa with a forehand cross court.
And we just saw Russell at the end of that first set, the anger from Joao starting to bubble over a little bit. He's yelling out a bit of frustration towards his team as well, and there was a few threats of the racket smash. You know, they go to do it and sort of stop themselves.
It's not worth the fine.
I never banged my racket. I'd always punch myself before I damaged my racket. So expensive.
The fine.
The racket itself. We used to have to buy them growing up, and Dad would kill us if we'd smash them, so we just got in the habit of not doing it.
Norrie attacking the forehand. Forehand cross court from Norrie. Another forehand from the left-hander down the line. Sousa into the net. That's it. Just what we're looking for. Stepping it up at the start of the second set here, Norrie. And he already has 2 break points on the Joao Sousa serve.
Got the balance well there, didn't he, Cam, between being aggressive but also having patience, not trying to get rid of the ball too early, finish the rally too early on. Moving his opponent side to side, but still, as we say, being aggressive.
2 break points. Ace from Sousa. So you think of the Uncle Tony model of telling Rafa that he never ever wanted to see him lose his temper on the court, but there is, as you point out, the financial imperative not to break them when you're growing up.
Because the rackets are what, like almost 200 quid, aren't they, a racket?
I guess
or
for
around
somebody who's an
£200?
aspiring professional, that's what you'd be looking to pay. You can get much cheaper rackets.
You can. You can't just be going around smashing them to smithereens because you've missed a forehand.
Second break point is a forehand return from Norrie. Sousa with a forehand cross court. Backhand by Norrie. Pushed back to his Portuguese opponent, and the pass from Norrie is just wide. Backhand cross court wide. A second break point has been saved.
Yes.
First Portuguese player to reach the 4th round of a Grand Slam. He did that for the first time here in 2018. Has also done it at Wimbledon a year later. And 2018 was the year that he won the title in Estoril, one of his 4 ATP titles. Into the net from Norrie, so good fight back here by Sousa to win 3 points in a row. He now has the advantage.
And you can just see, Cam, he's still not quite found his footing out there in this match. The first 2 break points he had, he was stood so far back behind the baseline, we actually couldn't even see him on our screens. At that point then, he decided to step up. He took the second serve way inside the baseline, so he's obviously still just playing around. This point, again, deciding to stay stood back. Trying to find where he's most comfortable.
Forehand, long by Norrie.
Sousa.
And Sousa holds on.
First game, second set.
All those achievements in the year of 2018 made Joao Sousa the 2018 Portugal Man of the Year. Open brackets, sport category, close brackets.
So he beat Ronaldo?
He must have beaten Ronaldo that year. He's probably won it every other year, and that was the year that Joao Sousa burst through.
I'm sure there are other fantastic Portuguese athletes, but he immediately came to mind that it'd be probably quite tough to beat him most years, you'd have thought.
Yeah, unless they try and vary it a little bit, change it up.
Yeah, maybe you can only win it once every 2 or 3 years. Have a bit of variation. Is that their equivalent of Sports Personality of the Year, I assume?
Yeah, whether it's a television company that does it or a newspaper or some other publication, I don't know. But I like the title, Portugal Man of the Year. Sport division. First game to that very gentleman. He's hitting a slice backhand now. Norrie making room for the forehand and netting.
Love hitting.
But generally he's happier on the clay courts. He disappeared after Wimbledon to that little clay court European swing. He was in Bastad in Sweden, in Gstaad in Switzerland, and then in Kitzbühel in Austria. before playing
15-all.
a couple of tournaments ahead of the US Open. That was an ace from Cameron Norrie.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky really if you prefer the clay, because you can almost play it all year round really, can't you? You can even play on the Challenger circuit on the clay right through the grass season. I think there are fewer grass court tournaments during grass season than there are clay if you take the Challengers into account.
Second ace from Norrie. Yeah, he did pitch up on the grass, and he played 4 events in 4 weeks, and he lost every single match he played. But yeah, you can, if you're playing even at tour level, you've got that South American swing after the Australian Open, and then the European clay court season.
Maybe no surprise we see the Casper Ruud, Diego Schwartzman playing that sort of schedule.
Good return here by Sousa. Norrie nets, and those that are highly enough ranked will obviously make sure they play the Grand Slams, and they'll probably be around at Indian Wells and Miami, and they'll probably play a tournament or 2 on the hard courts before the US Open. But play to your strengths.
Smart scheduling. It's a massive part of ranking rises. It's almost a bigger part of Jack Draper's year.
30-all. Sousa's really cross with himself for missing that backhand return.
He plays with a lot of passion, doesn't he? You can hear him not happy with himself, as you say, wanted to make his opponent play there at 30-all.
Norrie with the game point at 40-30. Forehand return from Sousa. Norrie hits the forehand down the centre, wins the game, as the Portuguese number 1 hits that one over the baseline. And it's 1 game all at the start of the second set. Cameron Norrie hoping to join Dan Evans, who won in 4 sets in our first commentary match of the day against James Duckworth in the 3rd round, along with Andy Murray and Jack Draper, who, like Norrie, is yet to drop a set in the championships, and that would be the first time in the Open era since 1968 that 4 British men have reached the 3rd round of this US Open. 1 game all. Here's a double-handed backhand reply by Norrie. His forehand cross-court onto the backhand of Sousa, and that is a little too long by the Portuguese.
And we can still see Greg Rosecki in the corner of the court, peering over the fence. It's about 4 or 5 people deep, the line around that side of the court, but he's now been given an umbrella to stay shaded from the sun.
Somebody's looking after him. They recognised the former runner-up and decided that that's what he needed. There's a lovely angle volley by Norrie. Glorious touch at the net.
Love 30.
You enjoy some of your acai bowl. Don't mind us. It's making me nostalgic for Indian Wells in California in March. Backhand into the net, Norrie, as he tries to steer that one down the line.
Well, I was sneakily eating it, Russell, but you've let everybody know my secret now. I think it's the same company as well that do the Indian Wells ones, so I assume they haven't flown them all the way across the country to provide us with them here, so I guess they've got countrywide stores.
I'm sure you're right. 15-30, still work for Sousa to do in this game. Norrie's backhand, Sousa with the backhand into the net. And here are 2 more break points, just as he had in the opening game of this second set.
I think a massive part of this match as well is going to come down to who can drag their level out of themselves first, because as we say, going through the stats, both of them hitting twice as more, if not more, unforced errors than winners at the moment. Neither of them putting the game out on court today that they would maybe have hoped to. Not yet anyway.
So 15-40, 2 more break points, a second serve for Norrie. The forehand from Sousa is wide, and Norrie does have the break.
Norrie leads 2 games to 1 in the second set, and by 1 set to love.
Our umpire is Nico Helvert of Germany. Right. I think I'm looking for a winner of the top Portuguese sportsman of the year. Well, this is obviously not the same award. The Golden Globe for Best Sportsman is awarded annually at the Golden Globes in Portugal. A different award, but that has utterly been dominated by Cristiano Ronaldo.
When did he last not win it?
Well, this only goes up to, it's a Wikipedia page, it only goes up to 2018, and he didn't win it in 2013. Some canoeists won it in 2013, and an athlete won it in 2010, but otherwise he seems to have won every year. Yeah, it's a closed shot, basically.
He's pretty much carried Portuguese tennis, though, hasn't he? He's been at the top for a long while now.
Very much so.
And I'm just going through these stats, talking of how many unforced errors and winners they've each hit. Sousa has hit so far 22 unforced errors. Cam has hit 19, and they've each only hit 7 winners. So it's not, as we say, been the top, tip-top standard of tennis that
quickly. Thank you.
maybe want to see. But again, credit to Cam Norrie, because these are the sorts of matches that he still finds his way through the woods.
And if you're going to have a relatively bad day, this is a good day to have it, because he could probably still win it in straight sets with a little bit of room to spare.
And you almost feel like with Cam sometimes the better his opponent plays, the better he plays. Because he wants that pace and angles. You know, it's almost the better the shot you hit, you think you've moved him into the corner, but he actually quite likes it.
First point to Norrie on serve here. Holger Rune will be the winner's opponent in the next round.
Interesting.
Yeah, French Open quarter-finalist, 28th seed.
Hasn't won many matches since, but suddenly found some form again. Now he's at another Grand Slam.
Yeah, he's quite a precocious talent. He's often talking himself into trouble. There was a spat with Casper Ruud after that French Open quarter-final, which we'll be able to talk more about if we get Norrie against Rune in the next round. Forehand, hit down the line and winning the point there. Joao Sousa as Norrie nets, and you can hear his displeasure at that particular shot. Rune getting a walkover when John Isner realised that a fall in the first round had actually left him with a fractured left wrist.
Ouch.
Sounds like it was...
He's coming from quite a height, isn't he?
Yeah, something or nothing, really. He was able to carry on and play the match and finish the match and win the match, but he says, that's it, I'm done for the year. Out until 2023. Serve is good enough to win the point for Norrie. Sousa seems unhappy with the lack of a call. Not happy with the electronic line calling at all as Norrie moves to 30-15. Well, the replay is saying it was a close call and it caught most of the line down the centre, but as you can hear Joao Sousa saying, in his opinion, there was no chance that ball hit the line.
Well, the balls do leave marks on these American hard courts as well, but of course it's not clay court, so the chair umpires do not care if you are furiously pointing at a mark.
They can just sit back and say, computer never lies. Forehand, long from Norrie.
30-all.
Still scrappy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange, the shots that he's missing, Cam, again, I think the balls are just staying quite low out here. Both of them, when they flatten out, neither of the opponents seems to like it.
This time, Sousa gets the call he was craving as Norrie just misses with a serve down the tee. Forehand hit back hard by Sousa, trying to set up a break back point here. Norrie with the backhand, Sousa's forehand, Norrie with the forehand. Sousa stepping back, hits the forehand to the backhand of Norrie. Slice backhand from the Portuguese, slice backhand too from Norrie, who is the 7th seed at this US Open. Slice backhand from Sousa, the forehand from Norrie. More slice from Sousa, hitting this right down the centre of the court, and a miss from Norrie as he goes for the winner. The off forehand is called out, and this
30,
indeed is
40.
a break-back point.
It's the exact same score that we saw in the first set. Cam Norrie breaking to go 2-1 up, being broken back. And we don't often see Norrie looking up towards his box, almost to question what's going on the court, but we saw him do just that there, racking his brains trying to figure out why he's hitting so many unforced errors.
Backhand reply by Sousa, a good one. He has the break back point here. Norrie's backhand is pushed to the back of the court. Oh, a net cord, which is okay in the end for Cameron Norrie. Heart was in his mouth for a second, but actually just took the pace off the approach and gave him a mid-court forehand, which he was able to slot away without any drama at all.
He's still hitting pretty low over the net, Sousa, and therefore he's had a bit of luck with the net cords, but that one, thankfully, for Norrie fans, just popping up, giving him enough time to use it as a nice short ball.
So it's deuce on court 12. First set to Cameron Norrie by 6 games to 4. Forehand return by Sousa cross court. Norrie steers this backhand down the line, and that's netted by his opponent, who stands currently at 59 in the world rankings. 33 years of age now, hails from Guimarães in Portugal.
And he's got these line calls in his head now. He's just stood with his hands on his hips, staring at the baseline.
Advantage Norrie for a 3-1 lead. Forehand into the net from Sousa.
Norrie.
Generally then, Naomi, what's the feeling amongst
Norrie
the players about the
3
accuracy
games.
of this system?
1 second set.
I think rarely, or maybe occasionally, people might say, oh, it was definitely off on the court today, but it tends to be the person who hasn't won the match that feels that way. But overall, I think players much prefer it. It just takes that feeling of unfairness sometimes when you come away from a match and you really feel like poor decisions on the court from the chair umpire maybe affected, or line judges maybe affected the outcome of, you know, maybe a set, or it was, you know, it was an important break point opportunity, or so yeah, I think it takes that away, which is a massive emotional sticking point for a lot of players, I think.
Serve and forehand combination wins Sousa the first point of this game. But when you're watching as a fan, do you miss it?
No, because it's
You've still very much got that player's mentality.
yeah, because it stressed me out so much as a player. I really struggled with bad line calls.
15 love. Sousa, his forehand, hammered down the line and into the net with the backhand, Norrie. See, I miss it.
Love.
I think, yeah, it's... Look, I guess we want it to be as fair as possible. But it does take a certain human dimension out of the sport.
Do you miss it? Is it the arguments between the player about the line calls that you miss, or?
Yeah, the drama, the human interaction, the odd argument. I mean, I'm not looking for players to be screaming in umpire or line judges' faces at all, but I do think that is part of the spectacle, the fact that, sound very old-fashioned, that human error can be part of the game. I can see why as a professional you want to rule that out if you possibly can, and the technology is there. That's long from Norrie. And Sousa to 40 love.
I actually think they could expand the technology further. We talked about it the other day, didn't we? On we were watching Andy Murray play. In fact, was it yesterday? It seems so long ago already.
Yesterday was
his first round match? There was a double bounce. It was his first round match, wasn't it? And they actually replayed it on the big screen to the point his opponent conceded the point and said,
Norrie leads 3 games to 2.
You know, I realised that was a double
second
bounce, so I'll give you the point.
Love hold for Sousa. Yep, in the end he had little option perhaps.
Yeah, he had no choice.
Concede the point. What else is taking place at Flushing Meadows today? Carlos Alcaraz 2 sets up now on Federico Coria. 6-2, 6-1 on the Arthur Ashe Stadium. 2-1 to the 3rd seed in the 3rd set. Alizé Cornet, great start, having beaten Emma Raducanu. She's taken the first set 6-1 against Katerina Siniakova. Andrei Rublev has won the first set 6-3 against Kwon Soon-woo of South Korea. And that's pretty much the best of the live action. I see Grigor Dimitrov has just started against Brandon Nakashima. He's won the first game of the match. And in doubles, on court at the moment, we have Alicia Barnett and Olivia Nichols. They've lost the first set 6-4 to Garachi and Klepak. That's out on court 8.
Well, they've had a fantastic year, Lissy and Liv, but they've had a tough few days actually, because they actually, when they came to US Open, they'd made did they win the tournament in Granby? Made final. They had a fantastic week anyway.
The final.
They won it, didn't they? They travelled down here. They actually weren't allowed on site because I think only the first 4 or 5 alternates are given access to the grounds. and they were 6th or 7th. So they've been practicing at some of the off-site facilities. There's one in the Bronx, there's a few nearby, but they got in this morning as alternates because Annette Kontaveit pulled out after the match against Serena last night. So quick turnaround for them to pop on in and get accreditation sorted and whatnot, but their first experience here at this US Open, I'm just so chuffed for them because they really deserve it. They're the British #1 team now.
Ace for Norrie. I hadn't thought of that, the numbers of pairs that are allowed on site as alternates to practice. And I suppose
because
it's
otherwise
the same
you
for
could
the
be
singles players.
Yeah, you could be cheeky and just turn up. Couldn't you?
Alternate number 604. Yes. I know it's a long shot, but
I did enter.
I'm not doing anything else this week. Forehand from Sousa, he's at the net. The passing attempt by Norrie. Nice volley cross-court on the forehand by the Portuguese. So first of all, you get yourself in the gates and you're thinking, excellent. I get to practice on the Flushing Meadows courts. I get a generous allowance on my accreditation. These things are important when you are at the ranking that they are.
If you're hanging around for a few days, you're staying in New York, it's not cheap. But that's not included unless you're within the top few alternates either.
Right, that's how it works. And now in the main draw, a set down, but still time to turn that one around. $15 on the Cameron Norrie serve. He's just setting 3-2 up here on the BBC Sport website and app against Joao Sousa of Portugal. Forehand from Sousa. Backhand cross-court Norrie. Cross-court with the forehand goes Sousa. Another forehand for Sousa, who's not having to move very much in this rally at the moment until he misses, and then he will have to move slowly to the other side of the court. Norrie to 30-15.
Feeling like these rallies are slowly starting to become extended, maybe just a sign that each player's starting to find their feet a little bit. It's taken them a while. Starting to find some rhythm.
Yannick Sinner has gone through 6-4, 7-6, 6-2 against Christopher Eubanks, the American qualifier. (30-15), but a double fault by Cameron Norrie. And we've just lost the 4th seed, Paula Badosa. She's lost the deciding set 6-2 to Petra Martic of Croatia.
Well, the seeds have been tumbling on the women's side.
Yep, another one who's had a difficult few months, just trying to get used to her status. The expectations of the Spanish media and the Spanish people in particular has been a factor, as that is netted by Sousa, and Norrie has a game point. Another who doesn't like the balls here. She's in the Iga Swiatek camp.
Well, Iga seems to be dealing with them just fine so far.
That's absolutely true. She's obviously put it out of her mind, but they find them hard to control because they are lighter. And Badosa, we'll see if Norrie can win this game. He can, as Sousa nets the service return, so he leads by 4 games to 3. Paula Badosa was actually saying that
4 games to 2.
The balls get smaller, and apparently Wilson have admitted they get smaller. They don't fluff up very much. And she says it's a bit like playing ping pong with a tennis racket, and the balls are very, very difficult to control. So you thought her chances of making a deep run here at the US Open were probably fairly slim.
It's funny though, because I think if you ask most people, they, most of the in the women's draw, pretty much everyone would have the same opinion on it, because they are completely different. It's just who can get used to them. Some people don't like the heavier balls. You find over the grass court season when we play with the Slazingers, you start to get maybe a sore elbow or a sore shoulder, especially the first few weeks as your body just adjusts to those differences.
2-4, Sousa serving. It's blocked back onto the sideline by Norrie, who'd stopped because he was expecting that to be called out. And now a net cord winner for Sousa. So the way it's often portrayed is that why should we use lighter balls than the men? It's a bit disrespectful. We're athletes, we can use the same type of balls. But
and we do for most of the year.
Yeah, so why the difference here, and do a lot of players actually welcome it as Sousa serves into the net?
I think we play with what was the original ball. I think they actually slowed the men's ball down rather than making the women's ball lighter, because it was sort of that era of serve volley and serve and next shot done, and I think they were trying to extend men's tennis, why a lot of tournaments have slowed the court surfaces down as well, just to try and extend those rallies and make the game more entertaining.
Double fault for Sousa after his net cord winner. 2-4, 15 all. Backhand return Norrie, forcing his opponent back behind the baseline from where he's missed his forehand.
30,
No, he's actually found the
Made
line.
it.
What a shot that was.
I mean, he just has no net clearance on that forehand at times.
That was amazing. 30-15. Sousa does definitely miss his serve here. Second serve, forehand return Norrie, working it cross quarter, a leap in the air, the hitch kick from Sousa as he returns on the backhand. Forehand from Sousa, backhand Norrie. Sousa will opt to return this on the forehand. Another forehand from him, good depth from Norrie. Sousa slices his backhand, Norrie's forehand, pushing Sousa wide to his forehand side. And now he's got a slice backhand to play, the Portuguese. Slice backhand from Norrie, off forehand from Sousa, and a shank from Norrie, and the rally ends with the forehand going wide.
You can feel it though, can't you, Russell?
40,
They're each starting
15.
to find their rhythm. These rallies are being extended more and more now as this match goes on. Norrie, I think, playing to the Sousa backhand more and more, trying to keep it off that forehand because it is awkward, as we're saying, really low and flat over the net. He's got lucky on a few net cords, comes up with some incredible angles on it.
Forehand return by Norrie, right to the back of the court. Forehand from Sousa. The slice backhand from Sousa, the slice backhand from Norrie down the line, and he's coming in to try and play the volley, and Sousa saw him coming and made that very, very
Norrie leads
awkward
4 games
for
to
him.
3,
A
second
chip
set,
sliced
by 1 set to
approach,
love.
dipping on Norrie, he netted, Sousa holds, and Norrie's advantage is just the one break of serve at 4-3. What I would say about the balls is that last year's women's draw was one of the best Grand Slam draws I have ever had the pleasure of watching. It was thrilling, and I don't know whether the balls contributed to that.
I don't know. Because we've played with those same balls here for years, so that's also why I feel it's funny for Swiatek and Badosa to decide this year to be more vocal on it, because it's been the same. Each Grand Slam has their own balls. I remember the Australian Open at one point actually used to send sort of a crate of ball cans to certainly the top seeds, if not everyone in main draw at one point, so you could kind of practice with them, because it gets to that point, they're that different from each other. And we deal with this week in, week out on tour. It's not only conditions, weather, altitude, court surface, it's balls as well. There are so many different factors, and I think that's sometimes why there's not always consistency with winners on the tour, because it completely changes week in, week out. But yeah, players are often trying to source the balls to practice with them before they arrive at the next tournament.
Time.
Iga Swiatek was saying actually she was finding it impossible to source the ball in Europe. I suspect the USTA at that point may have put a shipment in the post.
Yeah.
Ladies
Not
and
everyone is
gentlemen,
going to be
find your
treated like
seats
that,
quickly.
although
Thank
you make
you.
the point that actually Tennis Australia, ahead of the Australian Open, and they do tend to look after the players down there,
Yeah,
have
they
gone
set
the
them
extra
out.
mile in the past.
But it's normal, isn't it? Different players are going to prefer different conditions dependent upon how they play, and you can see Swiatek and Badosa with the weight and heaviness of their shot, why they would maybe not like the ball that's going to seemingly fly off their racket. They maybe want something that they can really get their strings round and rip.
Norrie has a 4-3 advantage in this second set with the break. He's playing Joao Sousa. The Portuguese is hitting a forehand to Norrie's forehand. Sousa with the backhand, Norrie's forehand down the line. Sousa with the forehand, Norrie with the forehand down the line. He's got Sousa on the run, and Sousa has netted.
And interestingly, Russell, you said a while ago that
15 love.
Sousa wasn't moving all that much. At times he was the one who was stood in the middle of the court dictating the baseline, but slowly and surely that's starting to change now. He's covering far more ground in these last few games.
15 love, Norrie, and that's too good down the line.
Opening up the court nicely,
Taylor.
using that lefty out wide serve. Simple forehand up the line for a winner.
Four 3-30 love. Norrie steps into mid-court, hits the forehand cross-court, and making very short work of this game at the moment. He has 3 game
40
points for a 5-3 lead, which would take him 2 sets to the good. And it's looking now really quite likely that there will be 4 British men in the third round. of this US Open. Jack Draper and Andy Murray playing tomorrow, and hopefully Dan Evans and Cameron Norrie on Saturday. Slice backhand by Norrie, the off forehand from Sousa, and there's one of his best shots of the match from Cameron Norrie. Running forehand cross-court winner, and he leads by 5 games to 3.
Leads 5 games to 3, second set.
On the balls, this might be my final contribution, but I remember Craig Tyser's intervention on this at the Australian Open, before we knew that Ash Barty was going to retire.
Okay.
Because she's still missing just the US Open, isn't she? Were she ever to come back, that's the one Grand Slam title that she still needs to win. And he said that the US Open really needs to change the ball for the girls. The fact they still use a different ball for the guys and girls, it's terrible for someone like Ash. And he just goes on to say that it has something to do with the strings in her racket as well. We're getting very, very technical here. But he said that if they keep the ball the same, no one like Ash will ever win that tournament. I don't know if you agree with that.
I do. Well,
15.
to an extent, because I think you can say Ash wants the ball with more control, doesn't she? Because she wants to play with all that spin. She wants to use the slice, use the heavier shot, mix it up. It is possible for players of different game styles to win here, but I can see what he's saying. It's not going to suit her as much as the other balls would, and I think that's the point of Swiatek and Badosa as well, because as we've seen, Swiatek's doing just fine with the balls that she said she doesn't like as much. But yeah, I think it's just another easy comment to make as well about the whole equality and equal prize money. Well, the women play with a lighter ball as if it's therefore easier, which it's not at all. It's actually in some ways harder. Yeah, I think most of the women would be more than happy if they were the same.
Joao Sousa swings a forehand cross-court. He's serving to stay in the second set. He has 30-15. He trails by 3 games to 5.
But I can guarantee you no men want to play with the lighter ball. I can guarantee that. If you're on the practice courts and one goes on to the next court and they serve one shot with it, they know immediately and they'll toss it back to you in disgust.
Let's second serve.
Second serve for Sousa. 30-15. Norrie is a long way behind the baseline, about 12 feet back to receive serve there. His forehand is hit cross-court, lands just inside the baseline, and the error from Norrie, just punching a backhand into the net.
15.
Still playing around with that court position, Cam, at times standing, as you say, way far back behind the baseline, other times trying to step on in. Maybe just another sign that he still hasn't quite found the rhythm that his opponent's giving to him. .40-15. Cross-court return wide by Norrie, so he's going to have to hold serve to take the second set, but it's looking, and you never want to get ahead of yourself. Dan Evans almost found himself taken into a 5th set, having been 2 sets up against James Duckworth, recovered from a breakdown in the 4th, but it's looking like a relatively easy start to the championships for Cameron Norrie, having had the fortune to draw Benoit pair in the first round, and I suspect you and David may have spoken about that in the first set, did you? We did. I actually spoke to Cam about it a little bit as well, because I was sat up in the players' lounge having lunch. I was actually mocking his physio because he was telling me that how he didn't put Haaland in his fantasy team at all, which I said that's a terrible decision. And I saw him today and I said, is he in now? He said, I've already put him in, but I think I'm going to bump him up to captain. But he was, I sort of asked them and said, what's it like for you playing someone, not just Benoit, but anyone who's kind of giving that energy of not trying and then suddenly turning it back on for a set and then not trying again? And I said, does it annoy you? And Cam said, no, if you don't want to try your best against me, feel free. Like, you know, the more the merrier. If you don't want to put out your best performance, like, I don't mind whatsoever. So but I think most players, when you're stepping on the court against Benoit pair at this stage of your career, you know what's potentially coming.
Time.
He was very diplomatic when he was speaking to David.
But they get along well in the locker room as well, so I don't think he'd have any bad words to say about him. He doesn't want to throw him under the bus. Yeah.
But I think he gave David the in, didn't he, by saying that Benoit pair went away a little bit in the 3rd set. And David said, a little bit? You're having a laugh. And then Cameron Norrie replied by referring to himself in the 3rd person and saying that, look, if I try and put myself in his mindset, then It must be difficult on a hot day when you're playing Cameron Norrie, who's considered to be one of the fitter guys on tour.
Well, I'm glad Cam knows that about himself, because nobody wants to be drawn against him, especially in those sorts of conditions. It's not fun.
It was very entertaining listen. So he was treading on eggshells, but at the same time gave a very entertaining answer. Slice backhand from Joao Sousa. It's Cameron Norrie serving for a 2-sets-to-love lead in the second round of the US Open. He's gone long there. And we're live on the BBC Sport website.
Love 15.
And no, we're on Sports Extra today, aren't we? Silly me.
We've been upgraded.
Yes, that's one way of looking at it. So we're on BBC Sounds. Apologies. Apologies to BBC Sounds. Forehand from Sousa. He has love 15 on the Norrie serve here. It is another one that's got tangled up in the net. But Sousa's still in the rally. His backhand. The backhand cross-court from Norrie, the forehand from Sousa, the forehand from Norrie, stepping in but only hitting it into mid-court, but it does the job. Sousa had a lot of ground to cover, and he's netted.
And Cam Norrie will want to play more points like that, just grinding his opponent down. We've heard him, haven't we? It's what he wants to do out there. He wants to make these matches physical, and he hasn't really been able to do it so far because of that high unforced error count from each of them. But as they're both starting to settle and find more rhythm, it's rallies like that that Sousa's going to want to avoid.
5-4, 15 all. Norrie serves. His backhand is hit towards the forehand of Sousa. Forehand Sousa down the line. Norrie with the forehand cross-court. Sousa's off forehand, giving Norrie a lot of work to do here. Sousa goes cross-court and hits the forehand, not cleanly, and now the smash from Sousa wins him the point.
He actually hits Sousa when he runs around his backhand.
15,
he hits
30.
the most incredible angles from his forehand, and again, so low over the net. Cam doing well to hang on in the point as long as he did, but great overhead to finish it off for Sousa, and some scoreboard pressure now for Norrie.
5-4, but 15-30. An hour and 19 minutes they've been playing on court 12 at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Centre. Fine return by Sousa. Norrie can't make a lot of that, and these 15, are 2 break-back points. $15-40 down. Norrie serves, good serve. The return by Sousa flicks the net. Lands in, it's a backhand cross-court from Norrie. A backhand down the line from Norrie. What a shot that was. Right onto the baseline. Making absolutely certain that there was no way that the on-rushing Sousa would reach that.
30-40.
I think the groan we just heard is probably from the close call replay from the crowd, because that was very close.
You're not telling me he intended to hit it quite that close to the line?
Not so sure he did. There was kind of a bit of a jump up as well after he'd hit it to make sure if it landed in or not.
Break point number 2. Down the tee, long from Norrie with the first serve. This for Sousa to get back on serve at 5 games all in the second set.
He's stepping even further back behind the baseline, Sousa. We can't see him at all on our screen.
Underarm serve. Second serve. Forehand from Norrie, cross-court. Sousa with the forehand. Norrie's backhand. Forehand from Sousa, backhand Norrie. Forehand Sousa, he has the break point and he's hitting it deep. Backhand from Sousa, Norrie's backhand cross-court. Sousa with the forehand. Norrie's forehand drilled onto the slice backhand of the Portuguese. Forehand from Norrie, forcing Sousa back, but he's defending really well. Forehand from Sousa, Norrie's forehand. He's having to be very, very patient and careful here, Norrie. Break point down. The mid-court slice from Sousa. Now another slice to the back of the court from Sousa. Sousa's backhand down the line. Norrie with the backhand. Sousa hits the forehand into the net. What a rally!
Feel as those points go longer and longer. Cammy's just growing in confidence. But that's the forehand, the exact one he just missed there. It clipped the top of the net, so that's the one that's caused so much damage. It's actually holding his shoulder at the end of that point as well. Keep our eye on that as an injury. Maybe just having to hit so many of these heavy men's tennis balls, he'd be feeling much better with the women's ones.
Forehand from Norrie to the back of the court, the volley from Norrie and into the net. Sousa had the passing chance. Norrie getting a little bit of a luck with the net court in the middle of that rally, and it means, and it's been far from straightforward, that he does now have a set point.
Brilliant first volley from Cam, because Sousa hit that ball as hard as he could, as he did try again on the second attempt at the passing shot. Luckily for Cam that he'd missed it.
(6-4, 5-4) and advantage Cameron Norrie for a 2-sets-to-love lead. Set point, but this will be a second serve. Again, he's out of shot. Sousa so far behind the baseline, is he? And he's missed his forehand, and Norrie, and it wasn't straightforward at all,
Norrie leads by 2 sets
has managed to win the second set as well, also by 6-4. He speaks a lot of languages, Joao Sousa. I assume that's some Portuguese frustration, but it could be Spanish, Catalan, English, French or Italian. Those are all the languages he claims to speak. I mean, whether it's just like conversational, can I have a beer please, or he's actually fluent in all of these languages, I'm not sure, but he's a talented linguist, but a frustrated talented linguist, Naomi Brodie. He trails by 2-sets-to-love.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised he's frustrated, because he had half a chance there actually at the end of that set, sort of as he did in the first as well. Total points won, 31 in that second set for Cam Norrie, 28 to Joao Sousa. Starting to play better tennis, I would say, towards the back end of that set, Cam Norrie, and especially when he needed to. Just starting to extend the rallies as much as he could, which is always going to benefit him, because that's where he thrives.
Quick bathroom break. You're entitled to
for
two.
myself or
for you? You're entitled to 2 in a 5-set match. You must not take any more than 3 minutes in the bathroom, but that time does not include the time it takes for you to get there in the first place.
Okay.
So you could go and seek out the furthest flung bathroom at Flushing Meadows.
Yeah, and just as before I leave, we can see that Joao Sousa has in fact called the physio. We did see him holding onto his shoulder after some of those extended rallies, so he has decided that he does want a quick medical timeout.
Lovely. We will see you shortly. 6-4, 6-4 to Cameron Norrie over Joao Sousa in the first couple of sets. I'll stick around for a few minutes. David Law is going to have set number 3 for us very shortly, and it's looking like 4 British men in the third round, isn't it? Which is unprecedented at the US Open.
Mr. Sousa is now receiving a medical timeout.
Oh dear.
That's the right shoulder.
Yeah. No, it's really something. And if you look at the 4 players, they're all very different. They're all at, you've got Andy Murray, who's just trying to eke out whatever he's got left. You've got Dan Evans and Cam Norrie really in the prime of their careers. And you've got Jack Draper making his way and is a really exciting prospect for the future as well as the present. So that's a really good group.
Almost certainly we'll have 4 players in the top 50 in the world once the ATP rankings are released after this US Open. So that is a real success story for British tennis. It looks as if Joao Sousa's in quite a lot of pain here. I know massages can do that to you, but it's being manipulated very vigorously, that right shoulder. He's got his top off, as you might imagine. The white towel is over the right shoulder. It's being done on the court. There's an umbrella over his head and over the head of the physio, being held by the ball boy.
I was listening to Dan Evans' press conference from a couple of days ago, just a small gathering of British journalists, when he was talking about how he feels that there is a lot more support for the British players generally on site at these tournaments now. If they need some help with physio, and if they need some support just generally, there are people there from British tennis. He did still voice concern about whether there's much behind Jack Draper, for instance, in earlier age groups, and queried really whether the system is set up in the best way to help, I mean, I don't want to say produce stars of the future, but to help find them, develop them, and he certainly referenced one of the former employees of the Lawn Tennis Association, Simon Timpson, who put this long-term vision in place and blueprint and system in order to develop talent. And he says the thing is, Simon Timpson has now left and gone to Manchester City, and we won't know whether his system has been successful for several years. It's one of those things, really. But certainly in the here and now, there are several British players doing well, and a lot more than there were 10 years ago when Andy Murray won the US Open, for instance.
Yep, unquestionably. It's quite handy if you're management or a performance director to have a 10-year plan, isn't it? Because you'll not be around to see whether that plan has been a success
unless
or otherwise.
It goes magnificently, and then you just put your hand up and you show everybody the clippings from 6 years earlier.
But you're right, it's a successful time. There are now many more tournaments in the UK. That is a commitment that Scott Lloyd, the chief executive, has made. Previous chief executives didn't think that was the way to go, and the Italians have had a lot of success with all the players that they have because they've had a lot of tournaments at a lower level, as well as the big ones like the Billie Jean King Cup finals and the Staging Davis Cup, to give players a chance to earn some valuable ranking points by playing at home. So things heading in the right direction, certainly, and the doubles has been a big success story as well on the men's side. So we are ready for
15 left.
Set number 3. 6-4, 6-4. Cameron Norrie leading Joao Sousa. Naomi Brodie got back in time.
I was a point slow.
Well, there was a
bit out of breath.
medical timeout for 3 minutes as well, and I think you managed to fit your bathroom break into a very similar time frame. So thank you. We'll not be taking any further action against you. First point of the third set, and it's Sousa who is serving, and the lob from Cameron Norrie is over the baseline, so it's 30-love to the Portuguese. Well, this is not vintage Cam Norrie, but it's good enough Cam Norrie. He's 2 sets up against Joao Sousa. He's won them both by 6 games to 4. He's playing the world number 59, and his opponent has just had some manipulation of his right shoulder. Looked to be in quite a lot of discomfort at the end of the second set. The French Open quarterfinalist Holger Rune, the 28th seed, awaits the winner of this in the third round, and if it's Norrie, then there will be 4 British men in the third round of the US Open for the first time in the Open era.
30-15.
Sousa has 30-15 on his serve here in the opening game of the third set. Practicing a forehand in the sunshine. Felt a little bit cooler out today when I was walking to the bus at about sort of 8:15. I mean, not cold, but first day of September. I think that's the meteorological autumn, isn't it, technically? And it felt a little bit like it was cooling down today, a sign of things to come. Forehand from Sousa, the forehand from Norrie. Sousa's a long way behind that baseline again. Backhand Sousa. Norrie has to hit the forehand down the centre and right onto the baseline. Forehand from Norrie. Down the line onto the sideline goes Sousa. The off forehand from Sousa. Norrie's forehand into the net. And Sousa to 40-15. Labor Day weekend coming up here in the United States. I'm not sure the weather's going to be that great. There's some rain forecast for a couple of days.
Yes, there is, which we've been complaining about the heat, but we're about to start complaining about the rain. Although for us it won't make too much difference because we've got these lovely roofs.
And the bulk of the matches in the singles will have been completed by then. That's a lovely forehand winner by Sousa, so he's on the board in the third set. And let's hand you over to David Law.
Thanks very much, Russell. Yes, it's a similar position that Norrie finds himself to that which Dan Evans was in earlier on. 2 sets up, playing very well, and in the case of Evans, he got to 4 games all and was really the better player in the third set as well, and a straight sets win felt like the right result, and yet as it turned out, it was a rather hairy afternoon in the end, with Evans squeaking through the 4th set and winning the match ultimately in 4 sets. And that'll do Evans. He won't mind now that he's got the job done, he'll face... who's he playing now in the next round? I can't remember who's playing anymore. Anyway.
We have spoken about this already.
We've got Karen Hachanov up against Jack Draper. I've remembered that one. Here's a backhand down the centre from Sousa. Marin Cilic, that's right. Thank you, Naomi. Yes, we did talk about Dan Evans playing against him. And I mean, look, he will go in as the underdog against Cilic.
That's a great place to be.
It is.
Who doesn't want to be the underdog when you're playing well and feeling good?
And but I would still say he's only a marginal underdog.
Yep.
I think he's got a real chance in that match.
I think so too.
What about Andy Murray against Matteo Berrettini?
I'd say similar. I think he's the underdog. Berrettini's been playing well, but he hasn't been playing as much, and Andy mentioned that in his on-court interview. He's had COVID, he's had injuries, and Andy's been playing some great tennis.
Dirty love.
Jack Draper and Karen Hachanov?
On paper, you have to say Jack's the underdog as well, but I almost think he's favourite to win with the level of tennis that he's been playing. But it's a tough thing to say, isn't it, for someone that's only just cracked top 50.
Very exciting. Naomi Brodie here with us on 5 Sports Extra on BBC Sounds and the BBC Sport website and app. Here's a forehand from Norrie cross court. He's 30-love on his serve. He leads 2 sets to love. He's 1 game to love behind here in the 3rd set. He's just plying his trade the way he always does, with great determination as he hits his backhand into the net.
30-15.
I was saying, Greg, in that second set, Greg. Do you know why I've just called you Greg? Because I just saw Greg Wozecki again on the television.
Well, Greg and I are separated only by a single day in our lifetimes because he was born on September the 6th, I was born on September the 7th.
In the same year?
Yes. And the only other difference between us is he is a world-class tennis player and I am rubbish.
40-15.
I can't even remember what I was going to say to you. I was so distracted. I called you Greg, but he's still huddled under an umbrella, so he's leaving the sunshine out to these guys.
Serve that is bouncing up high from Norrie, who's got 40-15 here, just to level up at 1 game all in the 3rd set. Forehand on the line there from Sousa, who keeps on swinging away, and that's a cracking shot cross court with his forehand. That's hit the line.
It's some unbelievable winners off that forehand side, seemingly from positions in the court that there are no angles to hit, but again, it's low percentage in the way that he hits them, but he's managed to find enough of them in this match.
Point for 1 game all for Norrie though still. He swings the serve out wide, just gets back to business, withstands the disappointment of the big winner from Sousa and wins the next point instead. As the forehand goes into the net from Sousa and it's 1 game all.
Will the pattern follow suit from the first 2 sets? Is Cam going to get a break again early on?
Six-four for Norrie and 1 game all in the 3rd set. Top edge return by Norrie into the sky. That's going to land wide.
Just enough.
And if Norrie can get through this, he's going to be playing against Holger Rune of Denmark, very talented young player. Forehand whipped down the line by Sousa, backhand volley from him. That's not going to clear the net.
Smart shot from Cam. You almost know it's coming when you approach the net. He loves those angles. Sousa covered it, but wasn't quite strong enough on the volley.
Backhand return by Norrie, whipped forehand down the centre. 1 game all, 15 all. He'll want to get the break as quickly as he possibly can and just make a stress-free job of this third set if he can, but that backhand's not going to get the job done. He's pulled that cross-court and wide.
He doesn't really get outwardly very angry, Cam, but just every now and then we've heard him and seen him walk to the back of the court. The mic has picked him up. He's just kind of had a bit of a heavy sigh or a bit of a grunt of frustration, Norrie.
Backhand return from Norrie. He paddles this one cross court. 6-4, 6-4, 1 all. And now hits the forehand, shanks it down the line, does Norrie. So he's 40-15 behind. What are you noticing, Naomi, there? Is that some trouble that Elise Cornet finds herself in?
Yeah, I'm just seeing on Elise Cornet's match, it's gone to 3 sets. She won the first set comfortably 6-1. She lost the second the exact same score, and it's on serve in the third, but she has now called the trainer out, so I'm not sure if it's the heat or blisters.
Game,
something seemingly upsetting.
Sousa leads 2 games to 1, third set. Norrie leads by 2 sets to love.
And I think it is the heat, because she's having her blood pressure taken, which would say it's seemingly more of an illness than an injury. And I've also got one eye today on the very young Czech Linda Fruhovitova. She and her sister Brenda have just won a crazy amount of matches this year. I think Brenda, her younger sister, actually has just won her 6th $25,000 tournament challenger event this year, which is, I think she's 15 years old. It's just unbelievable. And Linda's come through quali. She's won her first round. She's out against Muguruza. She's lost the first set 6-love, but she's managed to get on the scoreboard early in the second, so it's 1-love now. But if she's definitely one to keep an eye on for the future.
Yeah, when you see somebody reel off that many lower level tournament victories, and they're just cutting their teeth, aren't they? They're getting used to winning, and they're building up the levels so that they can eventually become hardened when it comes to tour level. Yes, those are 2 names that we've been hearing a lot about in circles, tennis circles, so it will be interesting to monitor their progress as they get a little older. Carlos Alcaraz now seems to be weathering the storm of Federica Coria. Everything was going swimmingly for Alcaraz when he was 6-2, 6-1, 4-2 up. Then he got broken, and then he faced break points at 4 games all, but he seems to have seen those off okay, and he's now 6-5 up and 15-30 on the Coria serve, so we'll keep across that as well. Serve out wide from Norrie. He's changed ends. He's 2-1 down in the third set, leading by 2 sets to love, though. Britain's #1 player trying to join Jack Draper and Andy Murray and Dan Evans in the next round of the US Open, the third round, which is unprecedented, unheralded stuff. As a backhand is cross-court from Sousa, then a backhand on the line, but Norrie's there. He's quite happy to go toe-to-toe and eventually break his opponent down.
Just holding on to his shoulder again there. Sousa, it's strange because he isn't seemingly affected by it. We've only seen him hold it twice, once at the end of the first set. He's shaking it out now. That's the second time. But I have also been so kindly informed by Amy on Twitter that the reason for Sousa not playing at Cincinnati was because of a shoulder injury as well. So it's maybe something that he's got ongoing issues with. So thank you, Amy. We shall be hiring you as our chief Twitter researcher.
Forehand whipped cross court at the far end by Cam Norrie, who's at 15-love. 2-1 down. The grunt you can hear is from his opponent, Joao Sousa, who's not got that forehand right at all. And he's just stubbed it into the ground, which is a shot I'm quite familiar with when I play on a Tuesday night.
You can relate to that
I'll
one.
hit 3 good ones, and I think, oh, I've cracked this. And then I'll get it all wrong and stuck it into the ground.
Well, similarly, that's exactly what happened in that point there for Joao, because he'd hit lots of great ones earlier on in the point, and then the final one bounced before the net, as you say.
Backhand return down the middle by Sousa. Forehand whipped down the centre by Norrie. 30 love. Greg Rosetsky in the corner of the court, watching on from just outside. A backhand chip down the line by Sousa, who hits his forehand cross-court and wide, and the ball bounces up into the crowd and almost hits Greg Rosetsky.
40 love.
Yeah, and more Sousa is messing with that arm now. He's kind of flexing his fist open and closed. He's rolling that shoulder around. It's obviously starting to cause him some grief. And unfortunately for him, there are going to be no easy points won because you're playing against Cam Norrie.
Backhand return down the middle. Game point Norrie, but not this time. That one's gone long. Still keeping an eye on Elisa Cornet. Still got some discomfort.
Yeah, she's been given some sort of drink, I think probably with electrolytes and salts in. She's been sat just doing some deep breathing with an ice towel around her neck, so it does seem like maybe some sort of heat illness, but she is going to keep playing. It's 2-1 in the third set there.
Game, Norrie.
That's a huge serve out wide from Norrie.
2 games all, third set.
Norrie, a little shake of the racket as he tries to maintain his intensity here. Top 10 player standing next to a top 10 player of the past in Greg Rosetsky, a finalist here in 1997.
Greg now has someone holding his umbrella for him, which I'm trying to get a picture of to send to him.
Of course he does.
So you can't get the staff these days.
Forehand hit down the line by Sousa. It's 2 games all now in the third set. Norrie would just love to break here, wouldn't he? Just clean this up nice and efficiently, and he's helped along the way by a top-edged forehand by Sousa out of court.
And he's seemingly just starting to pepper that forehand side as well now of his opponent Cam Norrie, making him play lots and lots of forehands, and it's surely starting to break down.
Long goes the return from Norrie this time. Backhand return down the line, and that's a terrible backhand into the bottom of the net by Sousa. This has to be a chance for Norrie now. 30 all, and he knows it. He's geeing himself up at the far end of the court, dancing on his toes. Still, even after nearly 2 hours of battle, looking as though he's not perspiring at all as he hits his backhand on the centre. Forehand whips by Sousa. Now he crashes another one down the line, and he's hit the line. Goodness me, that must have been close to going out, but it was perfection as it turned out.
It's frustrating for Norrie, that, because it's the exact tactic that's been working for him, making Sousa play forehands, and then finally he finds the line on one right at nick of time.
Forehand down the line, hit by Sousa, and unlucky Sousa as the ball hits the top of the net by Norrie and bounces over his outstretched racket.
40.
I can't be too annoyed at that, Joao, because he's had many a net court go his own way in this match, so it's about time I think that Cam had one.
Break point Norrie, forehand cross-court Sousa, backhand slice down the middle by Norrie. Now he's got a chance for the pass with a forehand volley from Sousa. Very well played. Just took the pace off it, kept it low. Wasn't the best passing shot in the world from Norrie.
He's got brilliant volleys, Sousa, hasn't he? Because as you say, he keeps them so low, so even when Cam's trying to chase them down, he almost hits them like an aggressive slice shot. They don't particularly land short, but Cam's not really got a target to run up to it as well.
Backhand return pulled into the net by Norrie, and as you hear from the umpire, Sousa's just hanging in there, edging ahead in the game. Serve out wide from Sousa, advantage to him. Backhand hit with power, and like an arrow out of that backhand side from Norrie. But whoa, what a shot from Sousa! Inside out forehand. Boom, it goes.
Sousa leads 3 games to 2 third set. Norrie leads by 2 sets to love.
Yeah, Norrie just allowing the ball to sit there ever so slightly too much there for Sousa, and he made him pay.
So similar to the Dan Evans match from earlier today against James Duckworth, when Evans could not have been more in control, and the thought in the third set, when it's 4 games all and he's 2 sets to love up, that he would not win the set and that he would actually go break down in the fourth, that would have seemed preposterous at the time. And I think it explains the sort of look of satisfaction and relief on Evans's face that he managed to turn it around in that fourth set and win it in 4. Because he was brilliant today. And Norrie, I don't think Norrie's been as good as Evans was earlier.
I was going to say, for me, that's been the only difference in the 2 matches, is that I'm not as confident that Cam's getting this done so comfortably as he normally would do, just because that unforced error count has been so high, whereas Dan just came completely out the blue because he was playing brilliantly, wasn't he? Whereas this is a little bit more sticky for Cam. He hasn't quite produced the level of tennis that he'd maybe want to, but so far he's managed to find his way out.
He's kind of being made to play a little outside of his comfort zone, isn't
Absolutely.
he? Because he's playing a guy who does the same sort of things as he does.
And I think actually the trajectory of Sousa's shots is what he's finding quite awkward. I think it's why he's coming out with the unforced errors, not quite timing the ball as well as he'd maybe like.
Six four, Norrie. 2-3 down though, and he wants to avoid a bit of an attack from Sousa, and that's what he's going to have to deal with here, because that's an inside-out forehand whips past him.
Left reserve.
Just taking his time, knows what he's doing, he has the same routine between every point, between every serve, sort of lifts the ball up high before he begins bouncing it, then serves it and swings it out wide and moves to 30-15 as Sousa miscues the return. All. 2-3 Norrie, serves another one that swings in towards the belly button of Sousa. It kind of chases him as he tries to run out the way of it to make room, and then he can't do anything with the forehand, Sousa, and this is much more like it from Norrie.
Just gets too close at times, Sousa. He tries to run around that backhand as much as he can and look for the forehand. That's great, but sometimes doesn't have enough time to do it. Almost needs to judge the ball coming at him.
Backhand return by Sousa is deep. 30-15 Norrie. Backhand unaligned from him as he paddles that shot again, nice and low. Lifts this one too much though.
30 all.
Kicking serve from Norrie. This is 30 all. Little chance here from Sousa, and just dying inside the baseline is Norrie's rasping topspin forehand, and then another one cross court of those. Backhand sliced down the line by Sousa, trying to set up break point here from him as he hits his forehand down the middle. Norrie's reaching this one with a backhand cross court, forehand cross court by Sousa. Backhand netted by Norrie. This is break point against him.
just not
30-14.
making Sousa move enough right now, Norrie. It's what we said he was starting to do so well at the end of that second set. He was starting to really control the middle of the court, dictate the rallies, make his opponent cover a lot of court, but right now it's Norrie that's doing a lot of the running. Sousa controlling his middle.
Yes.
That'll do.
Ace out wide, and the break point is gone. Norrie swinging it left-handed, a little shake of the fist. Unlike Dan Evans, he doesn't get anywhere near the serve clock counting down. 15 seconds left on the shot clock when Norrie delivered that one. Forehand hit inside out from him. Norrie running all over the place and forcing the error. Forehand into the net, Sousa.
Advantage, Norrie.
Again, just getting away with it though. He's keeping these balls way too central in the court. Luckily the unforced error from his opponent came there, but he was the one again on the back foot. Again, just trying to wriggle out of this game.
Game, Norrie.
And he has wriggled out of this game. 3 games all, ace out wide.
3 games all. Third set.
I'm just looking down onto Arthur Ashe, which is a beautiful big court in front of us. And I was wondering why they're changing the net. But of course, the first night match tonight is a women's doubles match.
That's right. First time ever, as far as I can remember.
Amazing. I did think they'd need a massive court. I wasn't expecting Arthur Ashe.
They decided to put it on the biggest court ever.
Absolutely. I feel like it would be somewhat dangerous if they tried to put it on a smaller one, because people would just be trying to crowd in.
Yeah.
15 left.
Yeah, I can't remember a doubles match opening a night session before. Not at the prime time slot, and that tells you everything about Serena and Venus Williams and the appeal they've had, the importance of the two of them to the sport over the last 20 plus years. Here's a forehand whip cross court. You heard the frustration by Cam Norrie after he lost that last point. 3 games all, 15 love down. He's just so frustrated because he wants to impose himself and show what he's all about. And occasionally he's falling short of his very high standards. But what's good about him is he's so quick to reboot, isn't he? And get back to business, win the next point, and get back to the fist pump and the come on.
Yep, so positive mentally, such a fighter.
Backhand return from him. Forehand down the centre, Sousa. 3 games all, 15 all. Backhand again. Swished cross court by Norrie, and then a forehand nailed down the line by Sousa, and he cleans the line.
Again, just dropping too short from Norrie, but you can hear him again, a bit of frustration up to his box. He knows what he's doing wrong. It's now just time to put the game out there that he wants to, and I think that's where the frustration's coming from, because he knows what he needs to do. He's just not able to do it today.
Here's a forehand whipped cross court by Norrie, then a backhand that he puts down the middle. It's 30-15 Sousa, who hits the forehand down the line. Norrie hits a big forehand of his own. It comes back, but it's wide. This is 3 games all, 30 all.
And a much better point there from Cam Norrie.
30 all.
Forcing himself to step up the court, be aggressive, move your opponent around, dictate that rally. Not just wait for the unforced error to come.
Forehand hit into the net by Sousa, and here is the break point.
30-40.
He's been pretty good behind breakpoint opportunities, Cam, in this match. He's 3 from 7.
6-4, 6-4, 3 games all, 30-40. Sousa serves, and lofted return loops up in the air and just lands long. He's just keeping his head above water, isn't he, Sousa, when he's put under all this pressure. And he finds ways to keep the score close. Backhand attempted pass by Norrie and he nets it. What's good about Norrie though? Clearly frustrated now out here.
He just said his mouth's so dry.
I get the point. I understand. I mean,
it's humid, Cam.
But the thing is, the next point, there's no throwing the toys out and playing a sort of erratic shot or anything like that. Yes, he's lost the point. Yes, he's lost the game. He's 4-3 down. It's not going the way he wanted to. But he doesn't panic. He doesn't sulk and kind of blow up, does he?
There's no dramatics.
He's an amazing competitor and methodical tennis player.
Yeah, absolutely. No dramatics. He just gets on with it. There's no drama out there for Cam, even when he's not playing any sort of level of tennis that he wants to, which I think we'll hear him say himself after this match. Maybe not playing as well as he'd like, but he finds a way through. As you say, he's present each and every point, making his opponent work. He wants to make these battles physical. He's maybe not able to have Sousa on the run as much as he'd have liked so far today, dropping a few balls short. But again, the only frustration he has really is because he's not drawing that out of himself. He's just constantly racking his brain, searching, trying to figure out how he can pull it out.
And this is a very similar situation, though, to which Norrie Evans found himself in. Knocking on the door for the break, not getting it, and eventually losing one. But I suppose the difference is James Duckworth was going for broke by this point, and he was hitting every serve like a first serve, hoping they landed. They did. He got to 4 games all, and then he just swung. He swung for the hills.
And I don't know if Sousa's playing good enough to do that today. His unforced error count is already very high, and that's playing
is he that sort of player anyway?
Take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
I mean, he can hit the ball hard occasionally, but he's not built like Duckworth. He's not a naturally aggressive player. And it depends whether Norrie makes any errors, I suppose, to some degree. Lovely lob, though, by Sousa. Goodness me. Attacking backhand down the line by Norrie, and Sousa read it, moved to his left, lifted a lob, and it arced over Norrie and landed flush on the baseline. Love 15, Norrie serves. Now he has a forehand to hit down the centre that Sousa meets, and he's trying to get to love 30 on the Norrie serve here. Backhand cross court by Sousa, then a forehand, but Norrie's soaking it up, going down the centre, back edge of the baseline from Norrie, and Sousa throws his arms up in the air as if to say, Hawkeye live, it doesn't work.
I actually think that could be a good play for Cam if he can increase the depth but go straight down the middle of the court to Sousa, because as I say, he does get a bit close on that forehand contact point. Jam him up.
Forehand hit cross court by Norrie, and a miscued backhand cross court by Sousa.
30-15.
Well, the main thing I'm looking at in the rallies, though, is the depth that Cam gets, because when he does get good depth, more often than not, he's the one to then dictate the rallies. Doesn't matter how hard you hit it, if it's landing short, your opponent's still going to have time.
Backhand down the line, Norrie comes in, punches the backhand volley. He's played a really good game here.
He's upped his level, hasn't he?
Yeah.
40-15.
It's noticeable. This is a different level altogether.
More aggressive on the front foot each and every point.
(3-4), 40-15. Norrie this for 4 games all. Huge serve. Just what he needed, right onto the service line. I think he's tightened his game up in that game.
4 games all, third set.
And this, off the back of that service hold, is the perfect time to strike.
He's certainly got the momentum with him.
Carlos Alcaraz through, beat Federico Coria. And now we've got Jensen Brooksby against Carlos Alcaraz. That's one to look forward to. Big serve down the centre by Sousa.
And that's going to be a really important statistic for this game and for the end of this set as Sousa looks to try and stay in this match. How many first serves can he get in? He's winning masses of points behind his first serve, struggling behind the second.
Bouncing up high is the second serve of Sousa. Hit cross court by Norrie on the backhand side. Down the centre this time from him. It's the second point of the 9th game. It's 2-0 Norrie, 4 games all. Backhand hits the baseline from Sousa again, and long goes Norrie.
30 love.
Forty love.
Huge
serve out wide, and the backhand hit into the net from Cam Norrie. Cornet and Lisa Cornet here has just hit a passing shot, and she's putting pressure on the Katerina Siniakova serve. 2-3 down Siniakova, so Cornet closing in perhaps on the decisive break. She had a long medical time out of her own, did Cornet. Forehand hit cross court and off the top of the net by Sousa. Backhand is missed by Norrie. That's a love service game from Sousa.
4, third set. Norrie leads by 2-0 love.
So let's have a little look at the other results or the other scores we've got going on at the moment. Because we have Garbina Muguruza, who you mentioned was up against the young Czech Linda Fruvervitova.
Yeah.
Have I said that right?
Fruvervitova.
Fruvervitova. Fruvervitova.
There's like a H which puts us off.
Fruvervitova.
Fruvervitova.
Fruvervitova. Okay.
We tried to have Daniela Hanchikova help us out with this, but Daniela just said it to us in her Slovakian accent with at full speed, just didn't help whatsoever, but that's as close as I've got to it.
Fruvervitova.
There we go.
Okay, well, Linda Fruvervitova is a set down, 6 love, but she's 4-3 up in the second.
Against Muguruza.
Garbina Muguruza. So very interesting. Fruvervitova. I'm just going to keep saying it.
I apologise after every match I've done commentary on hers because I say I'm definitely not pronouncing her name correctly, but I am trying.
Good for you. Lorenzo Massetti.
And her sisters, we're going to be having to say both her and her sister's names soon.
Yes,
so
Brenda Fruvervitova.
There we go. We're going to have lots of practice.
Lorenzo Massetti won set all, 4 games all with, oh my goodness, how do I say this? A player from the Netherlands, Gish Brewer. I'm sure I've just completely butchered that.
Just say it with confidence, no one will
Diego
know.
Schwartzman against Alexei Popyrin. 3-2 Popyrin, first set. And Grigor Dimitrov's lost the first set to Brandon Nakashima of the United States. 2 games all in the second there. We'll keep you up to date. But for now, it's Cameron Norrie, 4-5 down, third set, but he's leading by 2-0. He's hitting his forehand. That looked out from Sousa, but it was not called out. Hits his backhand into the net though, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it must have been right on the back of the baseline, and that's the voice of Sousa that you can hear again, venting frustration over towards his team. Another unforced error. The support team of Diego Schwartzman on the next court. Bit distracting for Cam, who's trying to serve.
But it's one of the great features of these tournaments where you've got outside court matches, of which this is one. It's court number 12, you know, and it is literally right next door to court number 11. It's a few meters away, about 5 meters away. And so, yes, we can hear exactly what's going on in the Schwartzman match, because that's on court 11. And it's 3-2 in the opening set to his opponent, the Aussie Alexei Popyrin. Elise Cornet now 4-2 up in the third set. Beat Emma Raducanu, of course, in the previous round. Norrie's doing a good job on serve here, 30-15. Serve out wide from Norrie and a backhand down the line, missed by Sousa, and the Schwartzman fans are getting into it.
It's like a concentration exercise for Norrie and Sousa.
Good luck keeping your focus, lads.
Norrie.
Good serve down the middle, though, from Norrie.
Norrie will be completely used to this atmosphere, having played many a year at American University. There's lots of heckling, cheering.
Six four, 5-all. And actually, Norrie's somebody who he's never going to ask for quiet. I don't think. He loves it, doesn't he? He used to play all the college matches. He loves the big crowds. He loves people to get up and make a noise and get into it.
Absolutely. And he just stays relatively calm, doesn't he? He kind of feeds off the energy whilst also seemingly blocking it out. He doesn't really interact with it.
No, he doesn't get emotionally
involved,
uptight, and end up expending needless energy and losing concentration for 3 points. He stays pretty level even though he's pumped up as he hits his forehand at 5 games all. He's got love 15 here, lifts a lob. Sousa's going to swat this away though. Is he? No, he's not. He has to hit another forehand volley because Cam Norrie came out of nowhere to the forehand.
Well, we had no idea how far Cam was away from getting this overhead back because he was so far back behind the baseline. We couldn't even see him on the screen.
Suddenly, the ball had come out of nowhere. It was like somebody in the crowd had just said, "I'll tell you what, Cam, I'll help you out." Boom! 15 all. 5 games all. 2 sets to love for Norrie. Norrie way behind the baseline again. He moves inside the baseline, paddles that back and down the centre. Nice deep drive, and then a forehand inside out from Sousa. Down the line goes the big forehand from Norrie, then one down the centre. Forehand cross-court Norrie. Sousa onto the backhand cross-court Norrie, who now whips and one with top spin, but too much loft. Norrie, it's out.
30-15.
Trying to stay within touching distance here, Norrie, trying to lift his level, but sticking his tongue out again there. I think he's still struggling with this dry mouth that he was trying to say to his team.
Long goes Norrie on the return.
Run and get a drink between games if he's struggling with that. Just take your bottle back and pop it in your towel box. Have a quick sip of water after your service game.
5 games all, 40-15 Sousa. Could be a tie-break coming here in this set. Backhand drop shot Sousa. In comes Norrie. Reaches it. Lob volley is wonderfully played though by Sousa. And he's leading this third set now by 6 games to 5.
Third set. Norrie leads by 2 sets to love.
Well. He's a good tennis player, isn't he? Joao Sousa. He doesn't do much spectacular, but he's just a good all-rounder, and he's in his 30s now. He's been around for a long time, but he's keeping going, and he's just hit the most lovely drop shot that somehow Norrie reached. Lob volley over his head, and so 6-5 Sousa. Evening session, Williams sisters will be playing. You'll be able to keep up to date with that on 5 Live. We'll have updates for you on that match, and then later on, it's Nadal tonight, isn't it? Or was that yesterday?
Yeah, I'm completely lost.
Yeah,
I feel like they've all merged into one.
Yes, it is Nadal. It's Nadal against Fabio Fognini. Now,
what a ticket that is for tonight. Venus and Serena in their doubles, followed by Nadal Fognini, which will just be pure entertainment in itself.
And Fabio Fognini beat Nadal here at the US Open about 6 years ago. From 2 sets to love down, he beat Nadal.
Nadal won't have forgotten that, because that wouldn't have happened all that often in his career, I can't imagine.
And in the previous round, Fabio Fognini won from 2 sets to love down. It's kind of his specialism. I think he's done it 13 times.
Wow. Can he get back into a tiebreaker in this third set? Cam Norrie, 2 sets up, 6-5 down.
How about this for a night of doubles? we've got Serena and Venus Williams playing, we've got Thanasi Kokkinakis and Nick Kyrgios playing, and Coco Gauff and Jessica Pegula playing against
bad.
Leila Fernandez and Daria Saville.
I love that so many of the top-ranked players play the doubles now. I think it's so good for their game. I'm such an advocate for it, but it's so entertaining as well that, you know, people are drawn to watch more doubles, and then they get into the sport, they realise how fun it is to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a nice return down the line from Sousa as Norrie hits his forehand cross-court. He's got 15 love here, 5-6 down, lob lifted, just lands long from Sousa, so 30 love.
30 left.
How's he going to do here under pressure, Cam? Because although technically the pressure should be on his opponent, you know he wants to get this done and dusted in straight sets.
Forehand hit down the middle by Sousa, who whips his forehand cross-court. Norrie trying to take this into a tie-break now. They're going cross-court to cross-court. The backhand of the left-handed Norrie to the forehand of Sousa, who now chips his backhand on the line, changes the direction of travel to straight down the middle this time. Now they're going to go with little backhand slices, both of them. Down the line they go. Now a cross-court backhand slice from Sousa. And then a big forehand. Goodness me, that was an acceleration of pace that I wasn't expecting.
Hit that inside out forehand so well again, so low over the net, and still finds this acute angle with it. Doesn't seem to be particularly high percentage shot, but he's just hit it over and over again.
Two sets to love. 5-6, Norrie, 30-15. Serves into the body, mid-court backhand, down the line it goes. In comes Norrie with a backhand half volley, cross-court, but that one's gone into the tram lines. This is 30-all, danger moments.
Yeah, I don't know if he was heavy-handed there, Cam, or if he just felt the pressure of Sousa, who had already set off running from the baseline.
I suppose that's the thing with the player who's at the net, who's not a natural volleyer. So often they will end up playing a drop volley, and the opponent's already off.
So many do anyway, especially if you can dip it down to their toes. You know they have to play up.
Yeah. 30-all, big point this. Serve down the centre, Norrie. Backs it up with a forehand, netted. This is set point, Sousa.
30-40.
Well. Exactly like it was in Dan Evans' match. Will Cam Norrie have a different result though? 5-6 down, trying to take it into a tie-break, but set point against him. Big serve down the middle, just in the nick of time, and Sousa nets the forehand.
Yes.
Huge serve, 120 down the tee. Saying let's see how he deals with the pressure. Looks like he's going to do his best to step up to it.
Huge serve down the middle by Norrie, and he gets the response he wants. Inside out forehand into the tram lines.
Advantage, Norrie.
Game point for a tie break. I don't know how people are getting down the corridor. They're so packed in to watch this match. Between the Schwartzman match next door and this one, there is a single line of people that are able to get down the corridor, and they are probably 20-30 deep, packed in there. Forehand driven cross court, in comes Norrie with a forehand volley onto the backhand lob of Sousa, and it goes wide, does it? Was that in? It was in.
It looked like it had landed wide, but on the replay, the entire mark is in the tram line, other than a teeny tiny slither touching the line.
I have to say, I do remember the Joao Sousa lob from that match against Dan Evans at Wimbledon. I think Evans was, if he wasn't a skinhead, he'd have been pulling it out.
Red reserve.
He's not been happy with a lot of the Hawkeye line calls in this match, Sousa, but a few of them starting to go his way. I think he's quietened down with the complaints.
It's funny that. I think everything's working now because they're going my way. Big ace down the centre by Norrie.
Advantage Norrie.
Back up to stare at the service line. Joao. Not pleased with that call. No complaint, no. 7th ace for Norrie.
Swinging serve out wide, the classic left-handed delivery, followed up by a forehand on the line. Norrie wins the game, saves set point. Here's the tiebreak.
Tiebreak.
Cam just using his towel right across the fence is Greg Rosetsky. I'm just staring at Greg to see if his mouth moves, see if he would offer any encouragement words, maybe try and communicate a few tactics, but he didn't. Stayed quiet, maybe not wanting to distract Cam.
Must be so hard for Greg not to say something because he desperately wants Norrie.
You wouldn't want
win.
to be the one to say something at the start of the tie-break and be the reason they'd lost it, would you?
No.
Better to just say nothing.
Say nothing. Backhand return by Norrie, the first point of the tie-break. Now a forehand behind it, the loop stand inside the baseline. Huge backhand on the line by Sousa, who now whips a forehand. He's got Norrie on the run here. Norrie shanks the forehand. It lands in though. Backhand cross-court from him. He's allowing himself to be dictated to a little bit here in this rally. Forehand on the middle from Sousa. A bit conservative that from him, and he's paid for it because Norrie's turned it on with a cross-court forehand, and Sousa's put it in the tramlines.
1-0 Norrie.
Swinging serve out wide from Norrie, 1 point to love in this tie-break. Hits his big inside-out forehand, now backhand. He thinks about coming into the net as Norrie stays at the back though, and elects to see if Sousa can keep the rally going, and he can't. He nets his backhand. And I think there's been a couple of times there when Norrie's thought, normally I'd go in here, but this guy's got a good passing shot and a good lob. I think I'll leave it.
Yeah, he loves a target, Sousa, and as you say, you could see Cam, he took the step forwards after that shot there and then reconsidered.
Backhand return down the centre by Norrie, but then he nets a backhand. It's 2-1, it's back on serve.
Norrie.
Six-4, 6-4. First two sets. 2-1 Norrie in the third set tiebreak. Big serve down the middle by Sousa. Thinks about coming in, decides against it, scuttles back. Backhand on the line by Norrie, then whips a forehand. The crowd on the Schwartzman match are getting involved now. Suddenly it must sound very strange to these two. There's Sousa hitting his forehand out. 3-1 Norrie.
3-1 Norrie.
Just turns into a brick wall when he needs to, Cam Norrie, doesn't he? Also getting better depth there in that rally, just keeping Joao Sousa on the back foot, not allowing him to be dictated.
Here's the backhand wide by Norrie. So 3-2.
Norrie.
Norrie still has the mini break, and he'll have a couple of serves here. Big serve down the middle. Norrie steps in, hits his backhand down the centre again, and once more he looks like he's about to attack the net and thinks better of it. Doesn't want to give this guy a target. Surely he'll come in here, though he has to, because the ball clips the top of the net. Smashed by Norrie!
What a hustle from Cam Norrie to come out on top of that point. Another net cord from Sousa. So quick from Norrie to get up to it. He did so well, and he was so ready for the lob as well, wasn't he? Picked up on that pattern of play from his opponent, bounced the overhead over the fence. That was a massive point as well. The camera on the slow-mo replay couldn't actually keep up with Norrie as he sprinted up to the net as well. It was sort of a pace or two behind him, so we actually didn't even see Cam sprint up to it. Change of ends, quick breather, quick sip of water.
And 4-2 Norrie. (6-4, 6-4) in the sets, and he wants this done in 3. Here's the forehand at the far end from Sousa onto the forehand, looped by Norrie, who now hits the backhand cross court. He's on the defence, Norrie. He's just scampering and chasing for all his worth, and Sousa's missed. Norrie's gone into lockdown mode. He's refusing to give him somebody to pass, and it's paying off.
5-2 Norrie.
I always think you're never as far ahead in a tiebreak as you feel by the scoreline. It's only one mini break for Cam Norrie. He'll want one of these points here at least.
(5-2 Norrie). Forehand cross court from him. This to set up match point. Backhand on the centre onto the forehand of Sousa. Lofted forehand with loads of topspin by Norrie that dips inside the baseline. Now big forehand on the line by Sousa. Forehand on the line. Norrie! Wide.
So close.
5-3 Norrie.
Saw the space, he went for it. Didn't miss by much.
(5-3 now for Norrie. Sousa serving. Smacks it down into the net. Norrie dances around on his toes. Leans forward, steps forward, hits his backhand return down the middle, trying to set up match point here. Hits his backhand off the back foot. He's trying to stand his ground though here is Norrie. Forehand smacked at him by Sousa. Shanked forehand Norrie. 5-4 now.
5-4 Norrie.
Couple of points though for Norrie on his own serve here to try to set up match point and then finish it.
Doesn't often run the shot clock down, but he is doing.
Norrie really is taking his time here. As you were saying, Naomi, usually there's 15 seconds left, but he's using all of those seconds now. Hits his backhand cross court. Forehand on the line by Sousa. Forehand on the centre. Norrie, who's trying to set up match point. Backhand cross court from him. He's on the defence here. In comes Sousa, but he's passed by Cameron Norrie with a whipped forehand.
I had my breath held there.
6-4
I thought Cam Norrie had got too much height on that forehand. I think Sousa actually left it thinking it was going to go out, but he got enough topspin, it dropped him right before the baseline and sets himself up with a few match points.
6-4, 2 match points for Cameron Norrie to make it 4 British players in round 3 of the US Open. Andy Murray already there. Dan Evans got into the 3rd round today. Young Jack Draper, brilliant win for him yesterday over Felix Auger-Aliassime. And here is the British number 1, Cam Norrie, with a chance to join them. Serves out wide onto the forehand, hits his backhand on the centre. Forehand driven by Sousa, backhand response by Norrie. Now he'll wind up into another backhand. Sousa drives down the line with his forehand. Norrie reaches it. He's out of shot. He's so far back as Norrie. but he's won the match
Norrie.
because the forehand volley hits the net from Sousa. And Cameron Norrie makes it 4 British men in round 3 of the US Open. And he comes out into the court. He's a relieved man, and he's punching the air. Round 3 is his, and 4 British men are in there altogether. How about that, Naomi Brodie?
Thoroughly deserves it, doesn't he? It wasn't his best tennis today, but so hard fought. Stepped it up when he needed to, dragged that level out of himself when he seemingly couldn't find it. No surprise, because it's exactly what we can expect from Cam Norrie now. Just solid performance mentally every time.
Yeah, that was impressive to close it out, and to not have to have that 4th set is just a hassle you can do without, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's
especially
exactly
heading on
what
in a
he's done.
Grand Slam, saved himself the energy. It's important to get it done in straight sets.
Yeah, Holger Rune is the man that he's going to be playing against. Rune, the recipient of a walkover after the really sad news that John Isner has, I think, broken it. What has he broken?
His wrist.
His wrist, poor John Isner. And so he's had to pull out of the tournament and his season's over, so best wishes to John Isner. But yes, Norrie against Holger Rune, that's a dangerous opponent, 28th seed, young Danish player with a lot of firepower.
Absolutely, we saw how well he played at Roland Garros. He hasn't won all that many matches since then, but seemingly has found some form now. He's back on the hard courts in the States, so yeah, definitely won't be easy. He's a tricky player, both in terms of level, and I think he can also be a bit annoying to play. But yeah, lots of experience for Cam.
Yes, I think that's fair to say. He can be quite annoying. He certainly has an opinion or two. We're seeing the draw in total. There's also Andrei Rublev in that section, and maybe Denis Shapovalov as potential 4th round opponents if Norrie can get that far. But Norrie's through to the 3rd round. How about that, Russell Fuller?
And that completes an excellent 2nd round work for the British men, doesn't it? 4 into the 3rd round. That's never happened before, at least in the Open era at the US Open. And the only time since 1968 where there have been 4 British men in the 3rd round of a Grand Slam at the same time was the Wimbledon Championships of 1997. And they've all got challenging matches, haven't they now? We're going to see how they fare against other seeded players in Holger Rune, Marin Cilic, Matteo Berrettini and Karen Khachanov.